Hello from Ballito.
Yeah, so Captain Kaya, Dutchie on the mic. You guys are live from the beach in Ballito, Willard's Beach, the main beach.
Well, technically live from our lounge.
Well, it is actually our lounge, yes. We are broadcasting live from our lounge. We'll be here all week from the juniors all the way through the pro event. And this is Ryan Carnalo. And he obviously did not have priority there because your little surfer in red took off. That is Greg Emsley's kid.
Wow, mini foot.
Mini foot in action here at the Billabong Pro Junior Series presented by Boss. And the waves have been pretty on. You were on the beach mic for a while there with Pro Junior Men, Dutchie. And
Man,
you saw some incredible surfing.
I was absolutely hyped. While you were getting barreled, I was working, and it was...
It was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I was down the beach at one of the other sort of backup spots and sharing barrels with Nat Young and Jack Robinson.
Yeah, not a bad place to be. No name drop. But it's hard to not name drop. I mean, I'm completely surf nerding out here. You look left, you look right, and you just see absolute world-class surfers everywhere.
Yeah, we've got like about 20 of the CT guys out here. I mean, I saw Griffin Carpenter this morning. Federico Moraes is around. We've seen the Panda.
And more importantly, 8 South Africans.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. We've really seen a turnaround the last 2 years with so many contests going live in South Africa. A lot of 1,000 QSs, but it's making a difference, setting the boys up.
It definitely has. It's lifted the level of surfing. I mean, we just look at Matty McGillivray. He's surfing incredibly well. And it's all due to this platform that we get to compete on. Look at Aiden Masingham currently in Port Elizabeth taking scalps. So if those guys can hear us, go boys.
How was that hook to start things off for the young Brazilian? Now working it down the line and crazy, going for the air reverse.
Yeah, just not riding out of that one, but a beautiful air launch there.
Yeah, that is amazing. And, I mean, he's come all the way from Brazil just for this Billabong Pro Junior Series. He'll come out again in the end of September for the second event at Seal Point.
An interesting stat about young Ryan. Once you actually asked his dad yesterday, are you guys sticking around for the pro event? And he said, no. School on Monday.
Well, that's it. He actually literally flies on Sunday night, and they land obviously early in the morning in Brazil, and he's going to go straight to school. So good stuff. I'm glad to hear the kids are still going to school. And it's been an interesting thing. You see some of the pro junior kids doing homeschool, obviously, so that they can concentrate on their surfing and everything else, and some go to school. So as long as you are doing school, I don't think homeschool.
You can always spot those guys by the hairstyles, the long hair, obviously the homeschool. Here we go. Who's this?
Unfortunately, we don't have our screen thing up, so I don't know who that is. Because there are a couple of this thing about the under 12s. We've got a couple of Grommies out there who we haven't seen before.
That's it. Like in the earlier heats today as well, I was blown away. There's some new names, and they're really standouts already. So,
I mean, I don't know if you saw that previous heat. I was on the beach mic, and Nate Colby absolutely blew me away.
can you get the? Can we get the scores? Okay.
Right, so we'll have scores, names, all of that sort of jazz for you in a short while. In the meantime, Dutchie and I will go on experience. Of course, next up the under 16 boys, and we know most of those kids, having worked on all the junior series. It's Kai Hall with the late drop there, but he's going to go down.
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of growing up with these kids.
We have followed them for a long time.
Yeah.
I think I've been doing junior surfing. And here goes Ryan again. The young Brazilian is looking so good. How's the style on this?
That was a beautiful opening turn. That was an incredible two-turn combo. I must say, I think that score is going to go quite nice.
I'm on now. All right, so you've just been listening to a one-sided conversation from Dutchie. That's because my microphone wasn't on. Captain Kai here, and it is Dutchie, and we're here for the Billabong Junior Series presented by Boss Ice-T. Of course, part of the greater Ballito Pro, and it is really not just a surf event, Dutchie. This is a festival, and we are celebrating 50 years, the longest running professional surfing festival in the world.
Yeah, of course, it's Billabong Junior time this series. So we're talking about platform and what a great platform this is, developing surfing throughout years and years. Like we said, we literally grow up with these kids. We watch them from the under 12 division all the way through. And we got a paddle from one of our little standouts here, Kai Hall. Big turn off the top, just goes down.
Yeah, Kai, like I said, he's not scared. I was out at J-Bay with him the other day. It was solid overhead for me, which means it's like triple overhead for him. And he's throwing himself over the ledge and going for barrels. So that lighty is not scared at all. And you see the surfers from the next heat making their way into the lineup. We'll have score updates and everything else up on the live screen for you shortly. It is day one of the webcast, and they're just getting everything locked and loaded for you, the viewer.
Of course, this is a hard 2 weeks of work for us. We actually run from here back to the commentary booth on the beach, doing beach commentary and vice versa. And then we also sleep here. So
yeah, this is literally our lounge. So it's a good time. And watching Big Paddle now. This looks like young Emsley. Oh, just catching it. And what I love is I hear the countdown from the beach. That is the end of the heat. It's so amazing, this whole thing with goofies and naturals and families. Greg Emsley, a firm natural. His son, a goofy. And then, of course, his brother Justin, a goofy. And his kids, a natural. Absolute crazy.
Yeah,
so
Greg Emsley, one of the most prolific natural footers that's ever come out of this country. Our very own, almost like Mick Fanning.
Yeah, he's definitely got the moves, the foot. I saw him this morning, and he's coaching the kids now.
Yeah, he's doing a great job of it.
And he will be the official coach for Team South Africa now, moving towards the Olympics. And also for the junior team going to Japan. I think it was supposed to be Japan, but apparently they're going to Huntington Beach now for the World Juniors.
All right.
So that'll be in September.
And it's not in a pool.
It's not in a pool, no.
Yeah, it's in the salt water.
So we now move into under 16 boys. And as these guys catch waves, I'll be able to tell you who they are. And let's talk about the conditions, Dutchie. So there we go. We've got the info on the screen. It is Tidy Lee Island out of Durban. Fantastic kid, always friendly, always giving you a good morning.
Very well-mannered kid. Speaking about well-mannered as well, Ayagirika in blue. Riley Marie, I don't know too much about in white, but he did surf a really good heat yesterday.
Well, Riley's a new ripper out of East London, and really solid performance level out of this kid this year. He's upped his game. You see him working that backside down the line. And Riley has been impressing me a hell of a lot over the last few years. Then you said Ayagirika, of course, he is out of Wilderness. Vic Bay is his local. Yes. And then Mitch DePrea, another East London kid. Also one of those magical kids, always a big smile on his face. I don't think I've ever heard a negative word out of him as long as I've known him.
So Buffalo City definitely producing some incredibly good surfers. Here we go. It looks like a paddle. No ride.
And the conditions pretty dreamy for the kids today here at Willard's Beach. Watching paddle. So Riley keeping busy here. Goes down though. And he'll be back into the lineup shortly. So 20-minute heats for the kids. Top 2 rides as per usual. Scored out of 10. And we have got the priority systems. The kids are learning early these days. Now watch Tidy Lee Island. This guy is no slouch in the water. Gets a nice clean backside hit there. And then out of there.
Oh, so opening score for Riley Marie coming in at 2.50. Second scoring wave, just a quick one of the 0.50. We will have a good opening score coming in for Surfer Tidely Ireland.
Here goes Ayagirika now. He's surrounded by goofies in this heat, the lone natural footer. And getting some solid turns down the line. I was talking to his dad this morning on the beach and saying, Aya's really looking good this year, and it looks like his confidence is up. This is Mitch DePrea now from East London.
Now, speaking about goofy footers, what a beautiful close-out turn. Look at that body language. Wow, he loved that.
Not hard to tell that he enjoyed himself on that turn. And so Aya's really been, you can see the difference in his surfing. His confidence really up. He's really pushing his progression as well. And he's been getting some solid results this year, some big heat wins. Mitch, I feel like I've been watching this kid my whole life. I can't believe he's still only under 16.
Yeah, his level of surfing is really good. It gets that, it's that quality of surfing that we see from him. The direction change in the board, really deep bottom turns, vertical off the top. Throwing loads of spray for under 14 now, he is?
Under 16.
Oh, well, he's surfing in this division under 16.
And Mitchie, of course, I mean, he was chosen by Billabong to be one of the kids to go to the Bloodlines on the North Shore a few months ago with Reno. And Reno was saying he really got impressed by him. He's not the biggest kid, but he is powerful in his approach, a really low center of gravity, very strong on the board. Like, you'll not often see him making mistakes. And speaking to Mitchie, he was like, he had such a good time. He said he was a bit intimidated by the whole Hawaiian scene, but who wouldn't be? And he got some sessions in at Pipe and down the beach at Logs and a couple of the other spots. And he's now excited to go back because he's had that sort of little Bloodlines break.
Taste,
He's got the taste for the North Shore.
Once you get the taste, once it hits your lips.
So let's look now. This is Mitch up and riding. He goes down.
Yeah, fantastic stuff.
So Mitch Dupria now in the lead. He got a 6.0 for that ride, a 0.35 as his backup. It is Ayacherika in second. You see him with that 4.5 for those two maneuvers. So two solid maneuvers getting a 4.5 mid-range.
Yeah.
The judges are obviously setting the scale differently now for the under 16s. A big performance jump from under 12 to under 16.
Jump. And of course, Tidely Ireland sitting with first priority now in red. He's opening wave just at one turn. Judges rewarding him with a 3.50. Still looking for his second scoring wave.
And we're looking good for some really good surfing in this round. There's some big name kids coming up as well. And a lot of these under 16 kids surfing in the Pro Junior as well. So, you know, they're not just sticking with their age groups anymore. They're trying to push up the levels. And, of course, a couple of the kids in the Pro Junior will be in the main event as well. They've been surfing the QS and getting those seedings up. Yeah. And like you were saying earlier, Dutchie, 8 South Africans have qualified for the main event. That's incredible. We normally have only got 3 or 4. And we may even see 2, 3 more come in if there's some no arrivals or no shows.
Yeah, we've got some alternates standing by. But you just touched on that subject about the kids surfing multiple divisions. I really like that. If you're a youngster and you can mix it up with the bigger boys, you know, it really builds your confidence level. And I think that's really what we need, is to just get the confidence up in the guys and give them that international flavor that they can just see they're worthy and they can compete with the best in the world. And grow into that role, you know.
Well, that's been the big good thing about having the extended series now in South Africa. We've seen about 4 or 5 new QS events, even 6 now with Lambert's Bay as well. You know, they're busy in PE with the 1000 as we speak with the Pro Junior on here. And having that for last year and now in this year has really raised the level of surfing competitively in South Africa. And the main
keeping us busy.
Yeah, keeping us busy. It's always good to keep working.
We've been affectionately known as the surf gypsy.
Yeah, for sure. I've been up and down the coast, but the generation that's really benefiting are these guys in the water right now, the under 16s, because they're getting to surf in the opens, they're getting to surf in the Pro Juniors against, you know, surfers that they normally wouldn't really get the opportunity to, and they're learning so much so fast. And sometimes I almost feel like this under 16 division has actually got one of the highest performance levels.
Yeah, we're back to live action here. This is Tidely Island using that first priority. Beautiful opening turn on the backhand. It's going to come around this section. Oh, it just goes down on the second turn. Light little onshore has picked up. This morning, beautiful conditions. Absolutely clean, clean, clean. Barrels everywhere. Right, scores in now. That last wave of Tidely Island comes in at 4.0. So he's actually gone to the lead.
Yeah, so Red is in the lead, and just those like small to medium scores, building up the progression a little bit. You know, 12 minutes still to go in the heat, so he's got time. Mitch has got that 6.0, so he's the money surfer right
for
now.
Sure.
He's going to look to replace the 0.35. Aya is being nice and patient. You see him in second priority. He's got a 4.5. It's a decent score.
Just below average, but it's definitely there.
He also, what I like about Aya is that he knows now what he needs to do. He got 2 solid turns. He got a 4.5. Now he can pull. Here goes Mitch. He's going to keep busy. This is the experience of competitive surfers with the priority system. As you see him just working those turns. And of course, the tide is pushing in now. So you're going to see those bumps on the face. You're going to see a few weird little double up actions as the tide gets higher and higher towards mid-afternoon.
Yeah, but more importantly for Mitch, that last wave, he's definitely going to get rid of that 0.35 in his scoreline.
Well, there you go. 2.9 comes in, and Mitchie goes to the lead. Tidy Lee Island now in second. He'll need only a 4.91, completely within strike distance. But, I mean, Aya Jerica with that 4.5, I mean, he's only going to need a mid-range 4 to get into the lead as well. Never mind second place. And Riley Murray, you know, he had those 2 rides. We saw him doing some turns, but they were kind of inside small waves, weren't really on a performance level with what we saw from Mitch. So he's going to really have to step it up now. He's going to have to find a good set wave and put down the hammers.
Yeah, he's definitely the youngest kid in this heat. So maybe just getting out priority there a little in the beginning there.
Yeah, you'll find the kids, you know, they're pretty used to priority now. I mean, they've been doing it for 2 years. So they are used to it, but it's still quite difficult to get into that space. You know, you need to hold your priority, make the most of it when you get it. You can't just, especially in the under 12s in the previous heats, you can see they're not used to doing it.
And especially that opening exchange.
Yeah, they'll paddle for everything, you know, and it's not what you should be doing with priority. You should be, especially when you're in first priority, you need to hold on to it, make it count.
Yeah.
And more importantly, put the pressure on the guys under you. On the flip side of that, you see Mitch Dupree now in fourth. Now watch Mitch. He'll paddle up and down the lineup. He's super experienced. He'll put the pressure on. He'll look for the wide ones. And he'll go for ones that the other 2 guys are going to leave because he's got nothing to lose. He's in fourth priority.
Yeah, you can't compete for the top waves out currently. But we see this out in the lineup currently that, you know, there is the opportunity to move a little bit off to the second peak, you know. And we watched multiple heats this morning. The strategy has been like get that first wave off the rock. You get your first wave in the bag, and then you know for a fact you don't have that first priority anymore. So you sit wide, and you can definitely pick up that good second one. And you got your first 2 scores locked in first 5 minutes of the heat and then build from there. So it's been a good strategy the whole morning. The waves were incredible this morning. I just got to touch on that again. Viva Ballito.
Yeah, gotta love Ballito. I definitely had a lot of fun this morning, and a lot of the pros just big smiles on their faces
because you definitely see them happy.
They're having a good time, and you know, we're looking at the little northerly now. We watch O'Reilly Maria, big late takeoff from the youngster. Oh, lovely hook under the pocket there. Now he's going to power off the bottom. Another big hook off the top.
Look at that body language.
Yeah, he stuck it down there. He was like, yes, I am here, and I'm competing against the big boys.
Well, rightfully so. He did 2 incredible hooks there.
And that was a solid overhead wave for Riley. I mean, he's not the biggest kid in the world, but that was a solid wave. He got to the 2 big power turns in. We were just saying his first 2 rides were the slightly smaller insiders. He had to work it.
And then he used the priority and got the big wave.
100%. So
and then he did the big turns.
Riley will be looking at a good score there. He only needs a 3.0 to get into second. I mean, he's not looking at a mammoth requirement, a 6 point something to get into first. So I'm interested to see what the judges are going to give that score.
I don't know if you noticed, but as he went in for that first turn, and he was really critical and came out and his foot actually moved right onto the rail. And I mean, even at this level, he had to somehow just manage to get his foot back into position and crank that second turn. So I really want to see where this score goes.
Oh, and I got to say, I think that's a new board for him. I haven't seen that board before, and looks like it's really fresh. Going good for him. Yeah. So obviously a lot of the East London kids are on those fish sticks from Simon Fish. He's from St. Francis now, but I mean he's from East London. He's a slum towner.
Currently stuck in the desert. Not a bad place to be.
Not a bad place to be either. And he'll be stoked to see one of his junior team riders doing really well. Yes, we're still waiting on that score for Ridey. The judges are obviously having a really good think about that.
And it's in a 7.75.
Wow, that is well deserved though. That was, we look at Mitch's 6.0. It was just that one maneuver really.
Wowee.
And Riley with 2 solid turns in the lip, and he gets a 7.75. And the requirements now for Tidy and Aya are going to climb a bit because Mitchie into second with that 6 and a 2.9.
I mean, look at the requirement for first all of a sudden for Mitch Dupree, 8.90 for first.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Sorry.
That's
totally heat score, sorry.
So Tidy Lee Island having a look now. He's feeling the pressure with that score coming out, and that wave's not going to do anything for him. And again, we come back to that priority. You know, when you're in priority, you need to make the most of it. Going for a substandard wave is not going to help you, especially when your requirement is a mid-range 5. I mean, we say it's a mid-range 5, but these conditions are difficult. You got the wind up the face. It's getting higher, so you've really got to be like picky about which waves you're going to go for. And we've seen good set waves. That's the thing. And we've seen at least 4 or 5 sets per heat in a 20-minute heat. So there's no reason to go for those small ones.
There we go. There are the requirements now. So Ayagirika needing a 4.41. Starts off with a beautiful opening turn and just can't back it up with that second turn. As you were saying, the tide changes. You could see those ripples coming up the face and just throwing him a little loop there. This is Tide Lee. He also needs somewhere around a 4. Oh, goes for the little tail-free spin. Incomplete.
So, yeah, we look at those 2 rides. Tidy, he looks like he's feeling the pressure a little bit. He's going for those like sort of mid-range waves. They're not really looking like the scoring potential. I had a good one there. Really solid first turn. Just not quite finding the connection for the second strong turn.
Yeah, there was only second scoring wave in the heat. So currently in 4th place, Tide currently in 3rd, Mitch in 2nd place, and the young Riley Marie currently holding down the lead.
Well, and it was a patience game. Riley was patient. He waited. He's in second priority again now. Mitch is in first priority. And Riley is looking to this one. He's not going to get it, though. So this is Ayagirika now. And he takes off straight in the barrel. And a big turn. Wow. So
he even looked like he smiled after that.
That was crazy because, I mean, Riley was looking at that one and actually left it. And Aya swung late. And, I mean, he literally took off in the barrel there. That was in the barrel. Came out, and it was super late on the section. He got the big vertical climb. I think the judges are going to like that.
All right. So looking for a 4.41. Our head judge, Bongi, is going to be talking to his team about that one. That was critical. How much more critical can you get than taking off in the barrel?
He took off in the barrel and then did the huge closeout move. And I wasn't sure if he was going to get that turn because he hit it so late. So on critical, I'm giving him 9 out of 10 on that wave. I mean, I don't know if he's going to get a 9 out of 10, but I'm saying on critical surfing, that was a 9 out of 10. You couldn't really get much more critical.
His previous wave, he held on. He couldn't hold on to the second turn. That was even less critical than that one. So.
Yeah, and he got a 4.1 on that previous ride. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with that last score. We haven't seen too many barrels this morning on main either. It's been more turns and the big closeout moves. So let's see what the judges do on the scale.
Yeah, we did see the young Indonesian Rio. He got a really long tube, but just unfortunate not to come out. But the whole beach started hooting.
Well, that's it. I mean, everyone loves to see a tube ride, don't they? And we all love to get tube rides too. Tube. So it is still the pinnacle of surfing.
I mean, if we were scoring the free surfing down in the other spots this morning, it was multiple excellent rides.
No, really good. And that's the nice thing about this location. We've obviously got bathers just on the other side of the rocks, which is a backup venue. You've got bogs a little bit further, which is also a fantastic wave within walking distance. That's also an extreme situation backup spot. It can go there if we need to.
It's an alternative venue.
And then, of course, the other way, you've got Sunrise down to the left, and then a whole bunch of waves within about a 5-minute drive. So Ballito really is Surf City. It's a great location, and in the mornings, you can't ask for better. It's just always clean, always offshore. So this is Tidy Lee. Now, this wave is looking a little better for Tidy. It's got a nice-looking bowl. He comes around the corner. Beautiful little backside hook.
Turn.
Goes for the closeout and finishing off on the inside. Riley is going to be up and riding now. He keeps it going. Nice little hook in the pocket. Gets another one. Again, though, this wave not as good as that big score he got. And you see him just fighting through the final turn. I don't know if that's going to be a counter for Riley Marie. But I like the wave from Tidy. He got that beautiful first arc off the backhand, really like pivoting off the tail and then working it through for a few more turns. So interested to still see what that score for Aya is going to be, the surfer in blue.
Yeah, just the essential thing is if you just want to make sure that you get that score, just hang on to that second turn. Just exclamate that wave. Just, I've stomped this. Give me the score. It really makes it easy for the judges.
Yeah, so we're looking at about probably halfway through the heat now, and we'll get an update in shortly. But in the meantime, seeing some good surfing from these under-16 boys and watching paddle on the inside now. So often this happens. You're paddling back, you're seeing waves, you're under priority, and Tidy with a little air reverse there. I mean, wasn't the biggest air reverse we've ever seen, but
it's a technical maneuver, so
he's going for it. And I mean, he really has got the airs. I mean, I've seen Tidy over the years do some really big punts, and he got a 4.35 for that last one, so it's keeping the pressure on.
I was looking for a 4.51, I think.
Yeah, so he's not going to make it on that requirement. But tidily, and I was about to say, actually, before we saw that little aerial, you've got the north wind now. It's not the northeast. It's actually straight out of the north. You can see it coming up the beach and into the wave. So you've got those little ridges now. You know, in J-Bay they call it the death wind.
The devil wind.
The devil wind.
Straight out of the cliff. Here we go. Riley Marie up and riding. Big backhand turn again.
Yeah, I really like that turn, but it's just the one.
Yeah, you see the other boys have been chipping away at their scores. Riley's lead has been diminished now just to a 1.95. So marginal lead now. The guys have been chipping away.
So we were saying that wind's coming up in the face, but what it does do, obviously, is we have that great term that everyone uses now, the air wind.
Onshore is the new offshore.
And this cross-shore into the face, especially for the natural footers, is going to be making those punts a lot easier into the section.
All right, so that we were talking about that critical wave of Ayahirik. It came in at a 4.5. His requirement at that stage was a 4.41, so it probably did change the situation. But last of Tidely Island, a 4.75, and gets him into second place now. He needs a 6.36 for the lead. Our surfer up and riding now, Mitch Dupree. He needs to finish
He's looking
this.
for a 6.36, and this is a good-looking ride. A couple of good turns down the line. Oh!
Falls right on the fins.
Wow, and his brother yesterday in the free surf ate his rail. Bryce Dupree had to get a tooth sorted out. He chipped his tooth. Had blood spurting everywhere. So the Dupree's need to watch out. I see Tidy Lee on a little left on the inside, and this is the end of the heat. I hear the countdown from Jared. So we'll go into the next heat. Whoa, I was also going for broke. And Dutchie, and we'll welcome back to Ballito with that crazy accent he reckons the beach can't understand from Australia, Scotty Turnbull. And I'm going to go and rescue Jared on the beach.
All right, Scotty. So good to see you again, buddy.
Great to be back, Dutchie. Great to be here in Ballito. Checking out the great surfing. Really surprising the level that the juniors are pushing it out there.
Yeah, definitely.
I had to double check the heat sheets early on to make sure we're actually watching juniors rather than the professional men.
Did you think
here.
you were late as the pro started yet?
Absolutely.
Okay, we see this is York van Jaarsveld, all the way from Kommetjie in Cape Town. Oh, beautiful. Oh, beautiful turn on the end there. Close out crack. So that was our opening ride of the heat. Okay, we're going to give you some information pretty soon. We're just waiting for the names to get up on the score, on the screen.
Great to see the boys all getting a lot of waves there at the beginning. Sand looking really good this year, Dutchie. I don't know if you guys touched on it earlier on, but great to see the sand looking good. The boys linking together two sort of three-turn combos on most of the waves there. A lot of vertical face to work with for the boys too.
Yeah, there's a ton of sand. I mean, one thing that guys don't really know about Ballito is that the wave out front here, Willard Beach, we kind of predominantly surf it on the low tide, and as the tide falls in, we move over to Bathers Beach, which handles the the high tide a lot better. But all the locals, as I arrived, kept on saying to me, we're surfing straight to the tide. So really a lot of sand, really shallow. I walked out yesterday morning for my first, or the day before, my first surf, and it was really, really shallow on the right-hand side of the rocks. So there's sand all the way out. And it almost, this morning, it looked like point break conditions. So amazing conditions. And we're setting up for a incredible 50th anniversary of this event.
So just bear with us, folks. Just trying to get those heat sheets up so we can see the time and the situation from that first exchange of the surfers. Could just see we got plenty of waves coming in. That wind is blowing a little slight onshore. But the boys really making the most of it there.
Yeah, Ford van Jaarsveld just getting stuck behind that section on his second ride. This is, in fact, I think the first time the Billabong Juniors event has been streamed live. So a first. Again, we just keep on coming with the hits.
Oh, look, and it's great, Dutchie. The up until a few years ago, we didn't have in South Africa here that same sort of infrastructure and that pathway that a lot of the other countries, I know back in Oz, we've got a great sort of junior series, and it's really pathwayed there. But to have these guys here, I've watched a lot of the pros are in town. They are surfing the parallel banks. I know the boys have been warming up there next to them. It's so great for their development to surf alongside them and be part of this big infrastructure. You guys mentioned that they've had the priority system in place for a few years now. So that professionalism really is just permeating down through the ranks. And it only puts the South African junior surfing in great steads to have more guys, exposed earlier on and setting them up for when they do want to have a shot at qualifying.
Yeah, it's really about that exposure. I mean, there's not too many other sports where you can actually share a lineup with your heroes. I mean, this morning we watched kids surfing with some incredible surfers. I mean, they all yeah. We've got 20 World Tour surfers in this event, so they're all around you, and I'm even surf geeking out hard. So imagine what these little guys must be thinking.
Absolutely. I remember our local boy Richie Kidd a couple of years ago was just a lighty. You guys call grommies over here.
Yeah, grommet.
Love that word. And just frothing around the lineup. And then last year, got himself.
Oh, he won the wildcard trials.
Yeah, won his way through and just got some invaluable experience in that main draw. So great what Billabong's doing here for junior surfing in South Africa.
All right, this is Dominic Southwood. I know that style. He's a local kid from here, from Ballito. And he just goes sliding the tail out, just incomplete there. Yeah, we're just still waiting for some information on the screen. Meanwhile, we can just comment on the great surfing. So just listening to the beach commentator there. Opening ride for Surf and Wide at 2.75. Dominic Southwood. So now, of course, in red, York van Jaarsveld. And I'm not too sure who the other two grommets are. This is, of course, the under 16 division. So the voices are dropping a little bit already.
Talk to us a little bit about the conditions that we're facing here, Dutchie. You mentioned the tide earlier on, predominantly a low tide bank, as we see some sets rolling out the back there.
Yeah, we've yesterday we had low tide at about 4 o'clock, so predominantly high tide throughout the day. Doesn't hamper the scoring potential whatsoever. The waves kind of fade out towards the end, like some of them give you that inside opportunity, as we like to call it as well, the bonus section, to allow you to do that last crack on the wave. But really what you want to be doing here at Ballito is taking off and just going straight to the bottom, straight to the top, and making sure you get your money turns out the back.
Yeah, I guess if you think of picture postcard surfing breaks, we probably don't have it right here, but I think it's more important that what we've got here, it's so indicative of what we have on the qualifying series is, these smaller waves. The guys have really got to pick and choose the quality ones. They've got to hunt the line up and find it. They've got to work that priority that we spoke about a little bit earlier on. But what I like about Willard Beach here at Ballito, Dutchy, is how vertical it is. It really allows the guys to go for those critical manoeuvres. Sometimes we see the QS events and you can get some really sort of flat waves that they really have to manufacture their own speed. Whereas here...
Yeah, it's a great point to touch on. Like a lot of the surf spots have got like a flat face, and you really struggle to get that projection off the bottom where, it's very, very steep and critical. So it makes it very, very easy for you to get that speed off the bottom and really produce that like excellent turns off the top.
It's not a traditional beach break either in terms of we'll see the boys hunting up and down the beach there. And as you said earlier on, almost a point break like wave. But then, if you are in third or fourth priority, you can sneak down the beach and you can find a couple of those little barrels or those wedgy sort of peaks. So it's a perfect little wave for this style of competition as we see that pullback shot there of the competitors, spread out all along the beach there. Yeah,
of course, like Jeffreys Bay, traditional point break setup, you've got the takeoff zone. And here you've got that sort of like that same look, but there is, like you say, that wedgy second peak down the line. And with the priority system, able to spread the field a little bit and, make it ultra competitive.
So I'm going to have a go at saying this name. Bear with me here, Dutchy. York van Jaarsveld.
York van Jaarsveld, not bad.
Sticking to my favourite part of the beach there, off the point. You can get some real runners coming off the rocks there on the right-hand side. So the boys are just down the beach there. So York taking that one. That'll put him into fourth priority. But he seems to still hold command of that top part of the peak there. So 11 minutes to go. So over the halfway point, I heard on the beach there earlier on today, there's parents, there's coaches. You can already see the whistling, the indicating for the young guys.
The wolf whistles.
It's all part of, a strategy and coaching, that sort of falls through to these guys here. So I'm really interested to watch how many of them are actually looking for that guidance from the beach or how many of them are just doing what they think is right out there. It's a bit of a tough one at this age group. The guys are looking to be independent themselves in life, but also looking for that support from the people on the beach.
Yeah, I speak a lot of the coaches, and they all have their different strategies, obviously, as well. A lot of them want to try and focus on the conditions at hand prior to the heat, so sort of load the information to their athletes prior to paddling out. Other guys feel that the kids should be prepared by the time they reach the event, and they completely leave them alone and just let them do their thing. Surfing is a very subjective thing. Ultimately, you making decisions out in the lineup. But one thing that is critical, and we touched on those whistles, and that's all about positioning and where they put them in. You got to be positioned for the best waves. So very, very important.
All right, his backhand here.
There we go.
Nice little hook in the corner there.
Braden Bergset. There we go. Just listening to the beach commentator. So also a local guy.
So Braden just a little slower in this heat than the other boys. Just trying to find his place in the lineup. Nice couple of little hooks there. Didn't complete the last one. So it looks like he's got a 3.75 and a 3, so 6.75 heat total. So the boys have been getting through with around that 9 to 11 points has been what they've needed to get through. Of course, the top two into the final, the bottom two bowing out. So the boys are looking for a couple of those higher scoring rides around the 5 range. So you're looking at least 2 turns, nice and critical, speed, power and flow. Same criteria as the men and the women on the championship tour for these younger guys as well.
Of course, this is surfing. It's a lifestyle, but we compact it into a competition format. And you can look on the WSL website. And, of course, one thing that becomes really, really important is statistics. And one of the greatest statistics that we've got to use, as you just mentioned it now, is that heat total. So if you go on the athletes' profiles, you can really see their consistency. I mean, if you go to a guy like Philippe Toledo, for instance, look at his heat total, or John Florence, they're dropping 9s all the time. So 2 9s gives you a 18-point total. So
yeah, and I think even not so, not as much on the championship tour. This City Surf Series you've had here in South Africa, Matt McGillivray has just dropped 8s and 9s
non-stop
all throughout the competitions. Yeah. Aiden Mazenkamp also really similar. I know he's just checking the other event down the coast this morning. He's through to the semi-finals there. So that's what you need to be able to do. But obviously a little harder here. The quality of the waves today, not going to offer up too many of those 8-9 point rides. So the boys just going to look for, I guess, scaling it down for them. 5-point rides are going to be, I guess, equivalent to what are the
100%.
8s and 9s.
We've been seeing the 5 and 6s almost like the higher scoring waves, and previous heat we saw that massive 7.75. I haven't seen too many of them going to the excellent range. Surfing Blue having just a little look at that one. 8 minutes remaining.
So things are going a little slow for the last few minutes in this heat. We did start with a bit of a flurry, and that'll be all important for the guys in the next heat. I think we might have the junior women's division coming up next. They'll be watching closely, just checking this out. 4th position, 4th priority here. So from Blue, on his backhand try and improve. You can see his body language there. That wave wasn't going to offer that one up.
And this is York from the asphalt now, up and riding. Snaps it off the top. Another little whitewash climb. He's going to kick out of that one. No scoring opportunity on that inside. A great opening call from a Surfing Green. Beautiful second snap. And a 3rd closeout turn. So once we get his name and the heat situation, just waiting for the information to come through on the screen for us. Talked about that heat total. Currently, York from the asphalt sitting with a 5.0 and a 2.80, totaling a 7.80. So you can imagine that a heat total of about 11 to 13 is pretty damn good. Right, so it's Sam Benny. In green, he's surfing a good heat now. He took a long time to get going. This is White up and riding. Dominic Southwood, he kicks out of that one. But Sam Benny, his last 2 waves, looking really good. So second last of Sam Benny at 5.75. So he's gone into the lead. White sitting in 4th. Welcome back.
Yeah, so bear with us, folks. Just trying to sort out some of those technical difficulties, trying to get you the heat sheets and what the surfer requirements are. Hopefully you can be streaming it yourself via the WSL app and be tracking those scores there. Unfortunately, we can't get them. And that's the nature of surfing, I suppose, Dutchy, where, as you said, we're in a remote sort of situation. There's cables and all sorts of things running around the place. So I think the important thing is the juniors out there, they're across what's going on out in the water, so they know what they need, what the requirements are. I think Blue and White are sitting down in 3rd and 4th position.
Yeah, Green's moved himself right into the lead with his last 2 waves. A little sleepy start from him, but he's definitely in control now. And this is the young surfer from Komiki. York from the asphalt. Streaking down the line. What's he looking for? Oh, wow. Just coming unglued there on that aerial maneuver. Tail high aerial.
Had speed to burn on that one. That board looked really good underfoot. Really relaxed kind of approach from York there. Not too dissimilar from the other surfer from Komiki, Mikey February, also hailing from that area, if I'm not mistaken, Dutchy.
Yes, he does.
Also has that very loose upper body, which allows him to generate that speed really easy. Surfer in green having a paddle a nice wedgy one here.
Yeah, this is Sam Benny. Big turn off the top, just coming unstuck.
Yeah, so Sam eyeing that section there. Just didn't rotate the shoulders and look to his landing. Great wave here.
This is young Southwood, another local. Big bottom turn. Snaps it in the pocket. Just the one turn, but a completed wave nonetheless.
I like the look of that one there. He set that up and really held his rail well through that bottom turn. That was a technically well surfed first turn. I would have liked to have seen him just push a little higher on it. Unfortunately, only the one turn. If he had backed that up, that would have scored really a little bit higher there. Surfer in blue getting a little frustrated. He pushed himself down in fourth position. Down the beach, though, York just trying to embed himself into the sandbar there.
Yeah, he became one with the lip. He's all right. He's going to shrug it off, get back out there. Here we go, your current heat leader. Oh, just having a quick look in and out. He reckons not the one for me.
So good to see some waves coming at the end of this heat. I think we've got about 3 or so minutes left for the boys. Just a little bit of that wind mixing in and making it nice and peaky, so some good waves coming through there. Fortunately, that set, I think the boys are down the beach a little bit more from that point we talked about earlier, Dutchy, so more likely to close out down the beach there. But it does mean on the offshore mornings and the lower tide, we do get some barrels running off that bank down there, so look forward to that throughout the course of the potentially tomorrow and the week.
Yeah, for those who haven't been to Ballito, it's almost like these natural rock groins going out. Nature groins. So the sand does compact up against them, so the further down you get to the beach, you do get the bigger ones will kind of just shut down there. And yeah, you are right, Scott. We do have the women coming up next.
So a minute 40 remaining for the boys in this second semi-final. Hopefully a flurry of waves. Surfer in blue here has been waiting quite some time. But will this one stand up? He's going to have a look. Might run away on him, however, down the beach. Let's see how it goes. The lone backhander. Nice hit there. But again, not able to find the second turn. He's going to need to get up into that higher range. Good completion, though. He's missed finishing off a few of those end sections. As for York on his backhand for the first time this heat. Lovely little hook. Just wrapping back to the power there. Seeing if he can connect this to the inside. Try and milk this wave for all it's worth.
Yeah, he's doing a little Huntington hop there, and it pays off, and he gets another little turn off on the inside, and he finishes right on the sand there. Yeah, thank you, our IT guy coming in, explaining some things to us. So we will have the information on the screen again for all the women, and that's the countdown for this heat. So, win going to Sam Benny in green. York van Jaarsveld holding on to the second place spot. Out in the lineup, I can spot Sophie Bell in red. Looks like Snei Mukubu in white. And Kira Knight perhaps in blue. Kira Knight last week beating a world champ in our City Surf Series in the form of Sofia Milanovic.
Wow. That'll be great for her confidence, no doubt, coming into this.
Yeah, I asked her about it. She just smiled. Here we go. Local girl, Sophie Bell. She is so powerful and talented. Multiple national team rider.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Dutchy. Sophie made it through to potentially the semi-finals, I think, last year, where she went down to the eventual winner. Or maybe it might have been Zoe McDougall, potentially, she went down to last year, but surfed really well in that event.
Yeah, Zoe McDougall looks like she's pretty hard to stop anywhere she goes these days. But you're right, Sophie Bell, you can always find her at the business end of the event. Always a high-placing finish. And the girl in white, Snei Mukubu, she's from Durban. Her dad is actually the head lifeguard on the Durban beachfronts. So she literally grew up in the sand, and definitely tells in her surfing. Incredibly talented surfer. And Kira Knight, quite a youngster. I've only seen her at a couple of the events, but also proving to, surfing amongst all these top surfers, she's definitely picking up the pace really, really quick.
Yeah, well, that result you spoke of obviously speaks volumes about her talent and her ability, so looking forward to seeing that on display in this heat. Girls just trying to find their position in the lineup there. Of course, still the priority system for this women's heat here. Just waiting to figure out. No real waves ridden by a surfer in white and blue, so they'll be fighting it out. Whilst the surfer in red, of course, she's already taken one, and so she'll be sitting in third priority. So plenty of time left on the clock for the girls. Some chunky little wedges coming through. Just noting with that onshore, Dutchy, maybe it's playing into the fact that a few of these waves are closing down. So the girls are really going to have to get on their bikes and set that rail early as soon as they get going on these waves.
Yeah, Sophie's going to have the upper hand with the local knowledge for sure. I can definitely be quoted on that. She probably surfed out here more than any of the other girls in the heat. She's just from up the road from Salt Rock. Alright, so that's in fact the start of the heat. In between the divisions, there are the computer operator has to change the actual settings, so to speak, for the divisions. So this heat is live, up and running. No priority set just yet. We'll wait to see who takes off on the first wave. There we go. We've got information again. Yay! So Sophie Bell in red, Kira Knight in blue, Snei Makubu in white. Fresh clock, 20 minutes.
So, of course, it does say the Grom's under 12. And, of course, the girls there definitely not in the under 12 division. This is the Pro Junior Women round of 16. So, the women kicking off. Of course, 16 females in the draw here, looking to progress their way through to that final there. I know a few of the girls surfing in the Pro Junior, Pro Women event as well, the QS event. So, great that the two are running parallel to each other. We'll see a lot more of that tomorrow on day 3 of this event.
And here we go. Kira's going to take first strike here and just goes down off the bottom. I'm going to come off. And I have a massive surprise for the 10 million people out there watching. It's the Mayor of Dubai. We hand over to Jared Smith as I'm going to go and do some beach commentary duties. See you later.
Thanks a bunch, Dutchy, for those insights. Jared Smith, not the Mayor of Dubai, just living in Dubai, of course, from South Africa.
Just a regular shake, mate. How are you, Scotty? Good to be back in the booth with you, mate.
Great to be back in the booth. Great to be watching this exciting junior surfing. Of course, I was saying to Dutchy earlier on, picture postcard conditions, these are not, but they are perfect conditions for our athletes. Of course, replicating what we often see in that qualifying series. And there are plenty of opportunities to get the scores for the surfers out there. I know you were watching it closely down on the beach just before. So really punchy waves, nice and vertical. Girls just trying to find their spot out in the lineup there with only the one wave ridden by Kira Knight for a 0.5 throwaway. So nothing really doing. Only 20-minute heats in this round of 16 for the junior women in this round of 16.
Yeah, of course, also for those viewers that are watching from home that are unable to come down to Ballito Beach, seeing Snei Makubu in the white singlet. Of course, Snei's done pretty well over the last 2 years down here in Ballito, and she's been our first surfer of colour in the WSL Africa QS events. She's done incredibly well coming through the watchful eye of WSL Africa and their team as we see her paddling for this one, Scotty.
Just holding her position beautifully there and dumpy little takeoff. So Snei just getting a little caught up there. I'm looking forward to what she brings to the table. Great to see here the Rainbow Nation, we often call it here in South Africa. So good to see that representation of all sorts. Snare hailing from, of course, Durban. So, yeah, well, great to see how she goes. Not sure of her previous results here, but I have seen her floating around the contest. Always got a big smile on her face. So she'll be hoping for a better start than that. But that's surfing.
Yeah, she made sort of waves amongst the media, sort of, both locally within KwaZulu-Natal and then all the way, to the ends of the borders around South Africa in press and media about 2 years ago. And she was the first ever surfer of colour in a WSL qualifying series event, surfing in the ladies of the Ballito Pro. And it was a real momentous occasion. I know, surfing within South Africa, there's two bodies. We'll pick that up just now as we see Sophie Bell, local girl in the red singlet, coming around. If anybody knows the conditions and the waves out here, it's going to be Sophie. We saw her yesterday, unfortunately, break her number one board.
As we see Kira Knight on her back here, speed to burn. Oh, lovely hook. Just gets caught up in the lip, unfortunately, there. That was a great little turn by Kira. That would have been a high score. Don't see the judges awarding her the completion on that one. A cheeky wry smile at the end of that, but great commitment. Judge is going to love that. So hoping to see more of that from Kira. But continuing on with that discussion around the two bodies here in Surfing South Africa, of course, we've got WSL Africa, World Surf League Africa, and Surfing South Africa, of course, heading that up. So I'm going to get you to keep talking about that one, Jared.
Yeah, and we'll carry on. We just see Snare now. This is the lady we've been chatting about and paddling in hard into that wave. Nice off the top cutback. And you see just how much confidence Snare does surf with. She's a real fearless young lady that, as we said, has kind of been nurtured by the local sort of surfing body, which is Surfing South Africa, and with their relationship with that international Africa body, which is, of course, World Surf League Africa, headed up by Colin Fitch and Robin de Kock, the president of Surfing South Africa. The two of them have done incredibly well to take surfing to the townships. They've been involved with the charities. Surfers Not Street Children has been an incredible charity that they've been a part of, and really trying to take surfing to all sorts, to all corners of South Africa and abroad. And we've seen some incredible names coming through and getting the results as well, which has been amazing.
So Sophie just a little behind on this one, but that allows her to come from behind the section and just jam that pocket. Can she get a second turn? Nice little hook. Finishes it off with a little mild foam climb there. So that there, not a whole lot of high scores on the board, but that one will probably come in at the highest of the heat. So the local girl, Sophie Bell there, finding her way through that one. So just recognising that the big ones might be not as much on offer, so just finding something else. And just finishing off that last point there, Jared, chatting to Colin Fitch this morning, he said they've even looking at getting an event up in Senegal as well. So really trying to, make it across the whole nation here in Africa. And of course, that City Surf Series we were talking about earlier on. So many events here on the domestic or your national scene for these young surfers. And, we're having a bit of a chat earlier on. Had a local boy, Joe Van Dyke, surfing and got bumped by, I think, Aiden Mazenkamp down the coast this morning. So the Australian getting bowed out, the younger brother of Nicky Van Dyke. So obviously some merit in these QS 1500s, and I think the women have got a QS 3000 down the coast this morning as well. So really great domestic circuit for the guys to ply their trade and build on their skills and their development. Yeah,
who'd have thought we'd have so many QS events? It's been just testimony to the crew at WSL Africa, putting in a heap of work and effort with both corporates and surfing industries alike, and to really raise the bar of competitive surfing. That City Surf Series has been incredible. It's been going now for, I think it's third year in succession, along with the team at Accelerate Sport, and then of course coming up the coast to head off the world's biggest 10,000 event to get that started. The first 10,000 of the year, the Ballito Pro, and of course the 50th anniversary of that.
And look, you can't mention WSL and Surfing South Africa without mentioning Billabong in that same vein. Of course, 21 years of this junior series, and they've promoted junior surfing so much, and it's probably great that they're now seeing this permeating into the bigger leagues now, and the opportunities to these surfers to really start developing and growing. We've had Berg de Vries, he's been around for quite some time and really pushing. He's been one of your main ones in the qualifying series, but so great to see, Mikey February now on the CT. Of course, Geordie Smith is there, but all these other younger surfers. I think we've got 6 South African surfers in the main event for this Billabong Pro Ballito. A few on standby maybe if we do get a couple of no-shows. So it'll be great to see South Africa represented so well here in this big event. Of course, the first big 10,000 of the year, so such a great platform to launch and get really valuable points towards that qualification campaign, Jared.
Yeah, well, Scotty, you touched on it about just the heritage and this incredible history behind the Billabong Pro Junior Series, and it has produced a terrific platform for South Africa's best talent getting onto the main stage, and we'll pick that up just now as we watch. Is it Kiara?
Kiara Knight.
Yeah.
On her backhand, just get a little caught up there.
Yeah, so, back in the day, we had the likes of Ricky Basnett come through. He was a former Billabong team rider in his junior years, and he had an incredible run. He was, I think, about a year or two older than Geordie Smith, and the two of them, I remember commentating some incredible battles between the two of them when it was still held in Durban down at New Pier. And then, of course, Ricky went on to the tour. He won the main event when it was still the Mr. Price Pro back down in Durban. He was the first South African surfer in 27 years since Sean Thompson to have won the event that was formerly known as the Gunston 500. So then we had the likes of Davey Weir, Simon Nicholson, all come through the Billabong Pro Junior Series. So it really has been an incredible platform for youngsters to go on to much bigger and greater things.
Yeah, and Slade Makubu here, just a belly slide takeoff, that's okay. Unfortunately, that wave just not allowing her another opportunity, so she's still sitting in second position there. So 10 minutes to go on the clock. The girls have really anyone's game this one. Sophie Bell, local girl, 4.5, the strongest wave, but all it really needs is someone to get a mid-range score to take this heat by the neck and just run away with it. Of course, it's just about finding the right wave. I noticed the boys, Jared, were hunting up and down the beach a lot more. The girls quite happy just to park in this kind of one spot. Potentially might see Slade now in third position just move up and down the lineup and see she is out of shot. So maybe she'll go and hunt one of those wedges up and down the beach.
Yeah, there's definitely been talk about the wider sort of position out here at Surfers Lane, and I think if we'll try and get a wider shot of the from sort of the beach view, but we saw a lot of the surfers. There we go on our camera. Producer's doing a great job there. But where you see Snare Makubu in the white singlet sitting towards the left, a little bit further down, we've often seen these wider sets hit a little bit more of an exposed sandbank, and a couple of them even barreling down through the inside. Here we go with a paddle as Sophie Bell, the local girl, currently holding down first place, kind of adjusts herself and her surfing and approach, deals with that oncoming section, but just getting swallowed up by the whitewater. She's also looked a little bit maybe not so comfortable as she usually is yesterday in her free surf session, breaking her number one board. So she's kind of on a smaller sort of fish-styled board, and there's a lot of juice out there at Surfers Lane at the moment.
I actually liked how she went up and just held off a little bit on that one. I thought that's a good move. This wave's coming at you. You don't want to try and, beat it up because it'll beat you up. But unfortunately, it did. I think it's just a bit of cross water on the face there, on the open water, just meaning it was just too bumpy for the landing for her to ride out of that one. But yeah, that happens sometimes. You got a stick that you're on for a while. You know how it feels and know exactly what it can do in most situations. And when you go to that backup, it really can sometimes feel like you're starting to surf all over again sometimes.
Yeah, and I think we just going to see a bit of four seasons and completely different changing conditions over the next 24 hours. And, when we all got down here this morning, we had that typical, North Coast winter land breeze where we just had these beautiful northwesterly offshore winds blowing, and it was super clean. And then, of course, the forecast sticking to the weatherman's schedule of going onshore this afternoon. And tomorrow we see a complete drop in swell with a lot of onshore wind coming up. So I think we're going to see a complete mix in sort of the conditions and the changes out there.
Chatting to the guys from the Dolphin Coast Water Patrol, they said, look, you can look at forecasts all you want, but you get what you get up here at Ballito. You get all sorts of conditions. But that's what it's all about, is just dealing with what the ocean does throw at you. There are some solid conditions and waves out there, so there's a real power. And I was saying to Dutchie earlier on, Jared, I love how vertical the waves are here. You really can go nice and vert. See, Kiara Knight's got one with a bit of a wedge on it, so not a big shoulder. Let's see if this one stands up. Just a hook in the pocket here. Squares the shoulders up. That's a better turn. Can she ride out of it? No. You saw she put the weight over the front of her nose there, which is what she needed to ride out of that one, but maybe just got a little too toe side on that rail. So the one completed manoeuvre, that might be her best ride yet. She's only got a 1.5 and a 1. So that'll bump her up. She only needed a 2.11 So had she have ridden out of that last one, would have been quite interesting for Kira Knight. Should be really knocking on the door of that first position. We'll just see.
Yeah, it's really tight, right? I mean, heat total of 6.5 for Sophie Bell as we see your heat leader up and riding on this one. Deep bottom turn and straight to the top. That was probably one of the best turns I've seen in this this heat for the ladies. Real committed, top to bottom surfing there by Sophie Bell. Still a one maneuver away for her, but she'll be, I think, feeling super confident after sticking that turn.
And that was all set up from a bottom turn. If you want to go back and look at that, she really compressed nice and low. Her eyes were squared up to the lip where she wanted to hit, and that really allowed her to complete that critical manoeuvre. So she'll throw away a 2-point ride on that one, no doubt. Slade Makubu just looking for a good one here. On the backhand, nice little hook. Will this thing stand up? Now she squares the shoulders up on the backhand. Beautiful, nice hook, 2-turn combo. That'll get rid of her 0.6 smallest wave. She's looking for a 3.6. to put her back, only needing a 2-point ride, sorry. She's got a 3.6 total, so good to see the surfers, the ladies at the end of this heat, getting a lot of opportunities and really now starting to link together some waves. So this will reset their strategies with just over 5 minutes remaining. We'll wait for those scores to come in and just see what the requirements are. Sophie Bell, a 4.5 and a 5.5, so she's looking really pretty in first place. Kira Knight, just waiting for her last one to come in there. So this stage, it looks like it's all about surfer in red. As we see Slade Makubu dropping a 3.4 on that one, so that bumps Kira Knight down into third. She's now looking for a 2.9.
Yeah, it's really been, we've seen throughout the last sort of 2-3 hours all come down to the last few minutes where it seems to just be a flurry of rides and they all kind of battle out for that second counting ride. As we see Sophie Bell with her priority dropping in on this one and really starting to use some local knowledge, I suspect, out there. Nice cutback, just a little bit deep behind the next section, so bottom turning through the back of that wave. And loads of local support for Sophie out here. Of course, mum and dad live just a stone's throw away from the beach here. And really well known. She's always got a smile on her face. One of the loveliest young ladies, as friendly as they come. And currently holding a pretty decent lead, a heat total of 10 points over Snare Makubu. And as you said, Kiara Knight, that young lady in blue, she's now holding priority. Still sitting with that throwaway score of a 1.5. She needs to improve on that low score. And, I had a chat with young Brazilian Mateus Hurdy after his heat this morning. He had obviously those prime conditions, and quite honestly, he made the three other local South African surfers just seem, I hate to say it, but second rate, man. He was just on fire this morning, and he's kind of been hanging around the contest site wondering if they were going to perhaps run the Pro Junior quarterfinals later today. It wasn't on the schedule at all, but he was just frothing for it. And, and I said to him, well, the easterly, the onshore wind's going to blow. He said, no, I don't mind. I'm really excited. I want to surf, man.
So surfing like he could be a grown-up in the competitor's condition, but his froth level's just that of a junior. Just trying to sneak Colin Fitch into convincing him to chuck another heat on for the day.
Yeah, he still showed me, went and, did his, he did all the work. He went and spoke to Bongani, our head judge for the Pro Juniors. Bongani said, nope, no change in the schedule. You're definitely not going to surf again today. And he said, but you should check with Colin Fitch from WSL. Yeah. Then he texted Colin. Colin said, no, absolutely not. He was like, are you sure, guys? If you need me, I'm right behind the contest side. So, but yeah, Mateus, it's great to have him back. He was here last year. He was really sick as well. He wasn't feeling too good. He had just kind of been surfing on the City Surf Series. They'd just come back from the Geordie Smith Cape Town Open, and he got really ill down there in Cape Town and had to pull out, and he was really disappointed as well. In fact, I even think he spent about a night or two in hospital. And we'll pick that up just now as we see Kiara Knight just wrapping up this wave as well, maybe looking for a little bit of a turn on the inside.
I wonder if Sneh Makubu was looking at that down the beach as well in that same wave. She's moved down the peak. It was a nice sort of wedge. See that pullback shot. I can't see Sneh in the shot there, so she might be in the whitewater just out of screen, so she may well have picked that up. But that leaves Sophie Bell out the back here. Let's see what this one can do. She's in the first place, so doesn't need to do too much, so not going to waste her time. She's going to get back out for that first priority again. So a bit for the judges to think about as we come under that 2-minute mark, Jared. It is all about second and third place, of course. Only two advancing through, and it is a seesaw battle between Kira Knight and Sneh Makubu. Not much needed by Kira Knight at 2.9. She did just get the one turn in that last one. Was looking for the second, so she'll get back out. She'll hopefully have another chance with a minute 35 remaining.
Yeah, things again starting to come down to that last minute or two. We see the next heat make their way out into the lineup, and we can hear our beach commentators really now starting to kind of power through that onshore wind and get the scores out. And we see the score come in for Kira Knight, a 3.5 for that last ride, so bumping her up into second place, and Snare Makubu drops down into third, and we can see it's just 1 point in their heat totals that separates second and third place. And now Snare Makubu finds herself in that elimination position of third place, needing a 4.0. And if Kira Knight knows her stuff, we'll see her, I'm sure, paddle down to where Snare Makubu is sitting. But Sophie Bell still holding on to that lead with a heat total of 10 points. And really seems to be a battle of second place. There's a bit of wide angle there. We can see Kira Knight just within touching distance of Snare Makubu. She'll sit pretty close to her. She does have second priority, and Snare in the white singlet just with third priority. So there we go. Kira Knight doing her competitive homework, and she'll just keep a watchful eye on Snare Makubu. She really is a dangerous competitor. And but unfortunately, time winding down for her, down to the last 10 seconds of this heat. Mother Nature, unfortunately, is not going to provide a last throw of the dice for these girls.
Yeah, really great to see the girls winding that one down and just getting some scores right at the end. But it was all about Sophie Bell, the local girl. Her and Kira Knight, congratulations to them. They are going to advance through to that next round for the girls. So great to see some waves coming through. Unfortunately, we do lose Snare Makubu, the local Durban girl. She'll take a lot from that one. Maybe you can tell us, Joe, she's competing in the women's event as well, so she's got another heat coming up, no doubt.
Yeah, I think a lot of the, particularly the juniors, the younger guys that have somehow, managed to secure a spot in the WSL 10,000 are definitely using the pro juniors as a good warm-up, a solid warm-up for the start on Monday, and Snare will be one of them, especially in the ladies as well. As we see wasting no time goes our lady in white. Do you want to introduce the surfers to us, Scotty?
Yeah, we got Adva Barsaid, and apologies if I do get these wrong, guys. Kirsty McGillivray in the red, so she's our highest seed here. We'll probably no doubt talk about that last name there. Taylor DeConning, she's in our blue, and Brittany Gadd, she's surfer in our green there. So 4 surfers in this heat, this women's round of 16. Just a throwaway rave for the surfer in white, Adva Bar.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Adva Bar is from Israel, and she's up against the 3 local girls. Kirsty McGillivray, of course, sister to Matt McGillivray, and Taylor DeConing as well, and Brittany Gadd. Brittany's sort of a bit more of a newcomer to the contest scene. Kirsty, of course, Kirsty and Taylor DeConing no strangers to the Billabong Junior Series. But Adva Bar said, opening up with just a short ride, a sub 1 point ride there, just to get things started.
So, Jared, if you were going out there and it was your heat, what strategy would you be employing, mate?
Oh man, I definitely am a big believer in getting off to a very quick early start in these heats. I've seen a couple of guys, play that patience game too many times where it just doesn't work out and that pressure just builds and builds, and it's a 20-minute heat becomes somehow incredibly fast. So I definitely, just try and put on some early pressure and just build momentum, And I kind of take that from watching Mateus Hurdy, man. He had this incredible amount of energy early on this morning, and by about the sort of 10 or 11-minute mark in the heat, he was already on 9 waves, and the pressure on the remaining surfers it just became a battle for second place by the end of it.
So just go searching for those waves. Don't wait around to be patient for the big ones. Whilst the big ones do offer that power and maybe the more vertical face, we've seen the last couple of heats, they do shut down a little bit too. So unless you can find a corner which is going to run away for you, it might be all about the mid-size ones. But that said, as the tide pushes in, they aren't always on offer either. So we see the girls spread out here. How's this one going to stand up? Looks like the surfer from Israel there, just letting that one go through.
I definitely think, Scotty, that wider position, all these surfers, when they paddle out in the beginning, kind of hug the rocks, and they, stick up at the point there for a good few minutes in the beginning of the heat. And, all morning and pretty much all afternoon yesterday, those wider sets are definitely the ones. That bank is a little bit more exposed. As we see year after year, Ballito is one of those real tidal beach breaks, gets affected quite a bit by the tide. We see Kirsty dropping into her first ride of the heat. It's an insignificant ride, really, in the beginning. It doesn't really offer her much of an open face. And behind her, Adva Barsad has a quick look at that one. But, Ballito is a real tide-affected beach. The first sandbanks right there by, that jetty of rocks that goes out by the point is so affected by the high and the low tide. And then the banks further wide, it's almost like a completely different beach break. It's a longer sandbar, and we've seen, over the years the barrels open up a lot down there, and there's definitely more of a bit of an open face canvas to punt in a few more manoeuvres.
Yeah, great description, because I guess watching at home just does look like a beach break, but there are those subtle nuances and rock groins and fingers of sand sticking out, as you said. As we see, it looks like surfer in green here, just caught a little behind, is Brittany Gadd. So just trying to get busy, the surfers, early. I think just trying to hunt for a diamond in the rough. The conditions aren't looking fantastic. Not a lot of opportunities. We would love a lot more of them. See if Brittany does take your advice there, Jared. Head to the left of screen and try and find a little wedge down the point. But nothing doing for any of the girls. 5 minutes into this heat, so a quarter of the heat gone already. And no real waves of significance. Kirsty McGillivray, she looks the hungriest so far. She's had a look at a lot of the waves out there. Just paddling around the lineup, keeping very active, very busy.
What has been, I think, something that's really stood out for me at... I've been commentating the Billabong Juniors for cheapers close on about 20 years now, and I've never seen so many international surfers come to our shores and come and compete. It's been incredible. We've had a sort of a plethora of young Brazilian surfers come and travel out, and of course we've got some of the Israeli surfers also popping their heads in for the contest. So it's been really incredible to see our young South African junior surfers having to go toe-to-toe with a nice mix of international surfers.
No, absolutely, and they've got reason to, other than the beautiful shores here of Ballito. Now they've got the other events around the place that they can go and do those, and it kind of justifies the trip out here, because it is quite a distance to South Africa from most of the other places for these, particularly Brazilian surfers.
You'd know about that distance. How long did it take you to get out here?
Yeah,
22?
Something in that realm. Yep, it's a long way out here, but I wouldn't miss it for the world. I love coming out here. This is my 7th year. Nothing to the 20 of yours, but 7 years I've been watching the event here, and I can't get enough of it. It's a big event on my calendar every year. But it's not about me. It's about this event, and we are just working through this, folks. So thanks for bearing with us. Of course, if you are watching online, do stick with us, because the surfing is going to be great. We just have to wait for Mother Nature just to cooperate a little bit more in this heat. Nothing doing for the girls.
The good news is, folks, that as we look at the sort of forecast over the next 3 or 4 days, not too much further ahead, but there are a good couple of pulses coming out from way down south by Cape Town in the Atlantic, and good sort of groundswell periods that are on the charts. As we see White, just getting swallowed up whole by that big closeout section of that shallow bank. And it is looking like there's a couple of good movements coming up the coast in terms of swell. Taylor de Koning here in the blue, nice sort of lanky style, still kind of finding her feet in the seat. That's actually her first ride of the heat so far. So I think she'll be stoked to get her name up on the scoreboard, regardless of it just being a short ride. But I think it's the varying winds. It is predominantly an offshore period of time, over winter here on the north coast of KZN. But as we see in the afternoons, it is sort of open to these, also prevalent onshore winds. So
the katabatic drainage, I think we call that one, where the land heats up and makes it offshore in the morning, and then creates that circular motion with the wind blowing onshore in the afternoon.
Man, you and your teacher knowledge. You're going to school me this week as well.
Left-hander by Advabar, the surfer from Israel. Just giving the left-handers a bit of a look in. We don't see too many of them over the course of the week. Again, not a lot doing. Taylor with a 1.5 for that last incomplete manoeuvre. So that scale for the judges really is, been brought down a little bit more. They're recognising the conditions are deteriorating. So what would otherwise be an 8 or a 9, we're looking at a 4 point or a 5 at the moment. If you get 2 turns out here, you're going to have a really good score. So I imagine a bit frustrating for the girls out there at the moment, Jared. Like nothing really doing. We're just 8 minutes elapsed in this heat so far, and they've all been hunting around. They've all been keeping busy, but just nothing of any great substance being offered up at this stage or being found.
It's the great equaliser, isn't it? The onshore wind, and you really start looking for who's that surfer that's going to put up their hands to really get their name standing out of the crowd, as we see Kirsty McGillivray dropping in this. I really like her approach, from the takeoff, just heaps of speed. And
hand up. You wanted a hand up.
Yeah.
Her hand's up. She's looked engaged from the beginning. She's looked really excited from the beginning. And she's got a nice, smooth style. So she's hunted the most, Kirsty McGillivray. So that's probably going to be our best score of the heat so far.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see, as you say, I mean, despite it being just a one maneuver wave, but, expecting scores right up there in the sort of average category, maybe between a 4 and a 6. As we see our surfer in white now. Nice attempt at that off the top, and she manages to stick it as well. Advabar Said, she'll be feeling a bit happier with that one, finding the wax underneath her feet comfortably. And we see a bit of a bump and swell coming through once again. Just the girls finding themselves a little bit out of position. Well, it's sort of all over the place, really. Hard to find any one position that's...
Well, I'm just mind surfing a 6 on this one at the back here, which just passes by Taylor DeGang. And we see down the beach, just not able to find it. So Kirsty McGillivray, a 3.25 for that last one, which is pretty good for her. Brittany Gadd just unable to find anything here. She's done a fair bit of duck diving. She's looking around, but just not able to find a face to get into. So we see Advabar, the surfer from Israel, locking a 3.75. So the judges liking that slightly bigger wave than Kirsty McGillivray's one and rewarding her in kind. So she's taking the lead with Kirsty McGillivray in second place. So halfway through the heat, again, those hands are up there from the surfer in white and red, Jared. But still anyone's game at this stage. And the surfers in blue and green, Taylor and Brittany, will just have heard those scores from the beach announcers. I wonder if they'll be adjusting their strategies accordingly, because the strategies for the first half of the heat haven't really worked. So will they go looking up and down the beach a bit more? And it was actually both those waves, Jared, came from about where Advabar is sitting at the moment. I think Kirsty's was down the beach as well, and so was Advabar's wave. So we'll see whether Taylor and Brittany do move down the beach or stick to their spot there out the front.
So, folks, if you have just joined us online, a very warm welcome to you. It's officially day 2 of the Billabong Pro Junior Series, and currently in the water, heat number 2 here with the Pro Junior Women's. And we should be looking to wrap up in the next about 2.5, 3 hours to go for competition on day 2, and another full day tomorrow for finals throughout all the divisions for boys and girls. And then, of course, the 50th anniversary of the Ballito Pro kicking off on Monday. No trials this year. They're allocating the positions from the City Surf Series along with the World Surf League as well. A couple of wild cards that are all done, so wasting no time. They're going to go straight into the event, obviously, depending on the conditions. And some of the big news coming out of the crew at Billabong that was just announced about an hour ago is they're going to be doing the very first screening of Kissed by God, the Andy Irons documentary next week Saturday. They managed to secure the rights for the very first premiere screening in South African shores for that. Super exciting.
Super exciting. Taylor DeGunning, not too excited by that one, but that'll be cool. I'll be trying to get my tickets. I'll be putting my hand up somewhere. So do we keep saying Billabong online, and that's how we get our tickets coming our way? I'm also noticing, while you mentioned the finals for tomorrow, Von Zipper Air Show. So Chad Darcy, the cheeky guy's gone and thrown an air show back in there. So that'll be cool to see everyone having a crack at that one. So looking forward to see how that plays out before the Pro Junior men and women's final tomorrow afternoon. So that'll be cool. Of course, the girls in this heat, they're not worried about that. They're worried about what's going on right in front of them. Kirsty McGillivray, let's see what she can do. Looking to throw a 1-point ride. Nice bottom turn, but the lip just not offering anything until there. You just see it's quite funky there, Jared. It throws over quite hard and then just hits that deep water and kind of backs off. So you've got it's super difficult you've got to really commit to the turn. You overcommit, and the wave's going to run off on you. You undercommit, and it's going to look soft. So it's really technical out there for the girls at the moment to try and navigate through. So Kirsten McGillivray riding that one out. That'll get rid of a 1 point ride, bump her back up into first place, I'd imagine, as we see the surfer in first. Adfabar up the top there. Nice little soft tag at the start. A little wraparound cut back. Looking a little pained in the lack of energy in that wave is Adfabar, but she's in first place. Two surfers getting busy, Jared. That was our advice at the beginning. As we see Brittany, just a bit of body language there showing her mild frustration. Getting busy seems to be the order of the day for the two girls in white and red who just keep seesawing for that first place position.
Yeah, we have finally Brittany Gadd locking in only her second ride of the heat, and at about 6.5 minutes on the clock. She's going to be a little bit frustrated that she hasn't got more points to her name, but she only needs a 4.0 to move out of fourth into second, and I say that respectfully, but 4 points can be a bit of a tough ask in these conditions. And I think what I've noticed about some of maybe the less experienced girls in this division is their inability to get, nice and low on the landings of a lot of these turns. They kind of stand quite tall, straight up, straight-legged, and we've seen these waves kind of, just bully them around on the takeoffs, whereas you see the more experienced surfers just compress their bodies on the landings, get nice and low, get that center of gravity over their board, and just give them a little bit more chance of riding out these maneuvers.
Yeah, it's a really good observation, Jared. You're spot on too. It's it seems unnatural to really over-compress. You want that flow. You want to be able to link between the upper body and the lower body and just work through the wave like you would naturally on a quality day. But these waves just not allowing for that. Really need to overcompensate, I think is what you're saying there in terms of that compression, both coming off the bottom turn and riding out of those lip line movers. So kind of hard for poor Brittany and Taylor. I know they can both surf well, but the conditions here really making them look less the surfers than they really are. You've got to really find that diamond in the rough out there and really just continue to force. But the girls need to keep getting busy. 5 minutes to go. It is all about white and red at the moment, but still not big requirements. Taylor and Brittany only looking for mid-size fours, so that could be a combination of a couple of threes to get them up there, or a straight up 4 or 5. It's just about finding the quality. So hopefully we do get some opportunities. But again, you can see Kirsty, she's just down at the end there, off that little corner, trying to find those, keeping busy.
Hey, Kirsty, no stranger to the north coast of KwaZulu-Natal here in Ballito. She has been traveling with her brother for quite a number of years. And, of course, Matt's had a couple of good results out here, and also a couple of tough results too to deal with. And I know he's a great sideline coach for Kirsty too. Often sits with her, before her heats, and kind of gives a little bit of input on, positioning. And
well, that's the experience you're talking about earlier on. You talk about these other two as less experienced. That's the experience. Is that invaluable losses that he's had that you mentioned, and his learnings, and he's taking away from that, and Kirsty's going to already have that knowledge to work with. So poor Brittany Gadd's just been caught in the inside there. It's taken quite a while to get out. That you can see that wash moving from right to left on the screen, and her wave actually died out towards the end, and here she's just getting a lot on the head. So Ballito really just showing it does have a little bit of punch. It's not overly big out there, but it does have a lot of punch and can really find you out there. So she's still got a little bit of time. The girls all sitting together out there in the lineup, and of course back to Matt McGillivray. He's been doing really well on this City Surf Series.
Yeah, and you know what? Having a chat with Colin Fitch from WSL, he was just saying that Matt was in a position kind of coming into this year needing a bit of something to sort of light the spark and get him into a good position. We see a good finishing turn there from Advabar Said there. Again, just a one maneuver wave, but negotiating that landing relatively well considering all the whitewater moving around there. But yeah, Matt kind of came into this year, it seems like the years are flying by. He's now in the back half of his 20s, and he needs to start getting those results. And this Ballito Pro is such a pivotal moment in the campaign for these surfers on the QS. As they go into the second half of the year before heading off to the to the States for the US Open. They really need to start kind of getting up in the rankings and their points and their seedings. So Matt done a lot of work through the years, through these last few months in these smaller events. And, I think he's going to feel a bit of pressure, but I think at the same hand, he'll be coming off a bit of a confidence high as well.
Oh, absolutely. He's got, a third in the Geordies, Cape Town Pro, first down at the Van Surf Pro, Buffalo City Pro. I think he made the final as well. And a lot of 9s and 8s in his scoreline. I reckon he even might have got a 10 during one of those events as well. I could be mistaken there, but just some really, really high scores. So his surfing's really got quite professional, and he's sort of. I'm actually super excited. Of the 112 guys in this main event, I'm really excited to see what he's going to do. So that is Maddie McGillivray, 21 from J-Bay. So younger sister Kirsty here, just sticking the family name, making them proud here, just holding the lead comfortably in this heat. As we see a nice little wedge here. Taylor DeCanning, this is what she's been waiting all heat for. What can she do?
No, Taylor. However, there's a real peach coming through there. She seemed to be in a good position. It kind of jacked up, perhaps catching her off guard a little bit. And you could almost see on the takeoff, she had her eyes down the lineup instead of focusing on the takeoff first.
Yeah, you could see that one was picking up. So she tried to just bide her time and got just held a little bit too much there. The bottom dropped out and just a little bit too much hillside pressure on the board. So the old straight down. I know we've all done that from time to time. Just watch the wave reeling off. So... not a whole lot of time left, just over a minute for the surfer in green and blue. It's a tough one, Jared. I don't know what you can take away for the girls here.
Look, I think at the end of the day, the ladies like Brittany and Taylor will, despite a loss and despite, really tough conditions, as surfers, we all know, especially the competitive surfers, they need to surf these conditions. They need to deal with these kind of losses, and they know walking down to the water's edge that they're up against much more experienced surfers. So despite it being a loss, it's still a great lesson. It's a great lesson on surfing difficult conditions. It's still a lesson on strategy. Someone like Taylor DeCunning will come in. She'll sit with her coach and he'll say, "Look, you definitely needed to have sort of got on early on in the game. Maybe even just started with 2-point rides and just build some score and momentum. And it's never a bad thing. It's you got to learn to lose graciously, and there's plenty of lessons in the loss itself."
Well, that does signal the end of the heat. The story is all about surfer in red. Kirsty McGillivray taking that one out quite comfortably with Advabar, a surfer from Israel, also making it through to our next round. So we do see surfer in green bowing out of that one, unfortunately, and also the surfer in blue, Taylor. So we do count in our next heat. This is heat 3. We have Kayla Nugare from South Africa, Olivia Izzard, Amy Dupreez and Emily Winter, all South Africans affair in this, the third heat of the women's round of 16. And the girls looking to get busy earlier on. This is Kayla up and riding. How to go with that last name, Jared? I heard a little chuckle over my shoulder there, mate. You want to
I just know that it's been a while since you've been on South African shores, Yeah, Kayla Naguera. She's also a local girl out here. And parents, they're just one of the biggest supporting, her biggest fans for sure. They're always down here. They take her all over the country, and she's another girl that's touted with a lot of natural talent, and she just needs sort of those opportunities to get into these events. So she is gifted naturally in it, but she's just, I think, still very young, lacking a little bit of experience. So these kind of events for her are absolutely golden. And as I said, her parents are her biggest fans, and they drive her all over the country to any event, whether it's the smallest little club contest or a pro junior event. She's there. So up against Olivia Izzard. This is Olivia in the blue singlet, another talented young girl as well, and obviously I think we're going to see the most amount of experience coming out of our girls in red and blue. And so
All right, as I welcome Kai Linda back into the booth, folks, just had a little change out there with the manic action between us here in the booth and out on the beach commentary. A bit more of an exciting start to this one, Kai, than last one. A little slow, as we see Kayla Noguera on her backhand here, just trying to manufacture a score here. She had the fourth priority in that one. 2.5 already in her scoreline, so it's a good little building block to start with. I know we had a lot of 1s and 0.5s in the last heat, so that coupled with a 4, and that could be enough to get her through this heat. So a good start for her. Not too much. See, look at the paddle battle going on there, Kai. She shows how important that priority position is.
Yeah, Scotty. Well, Kayla is probably one of the most experienced lady surfers in the country. She's still really young, but she's been competing for a long time now. She's represented South Africa already in the under 18s. So. And I think she's still under 16, so she is no one to sort of discount. She is a very hardy competitor, and she trains so hard. Like, I watch her at every event. She's first in the lineup in the mornings. She's first in the water after the event finishes, and she does not like losing. I can tell you that much for sure.
No, well, I'm safely here in the booth with you, and I'm a little scared given the ferocity of that paddle battle. We'll see what happens. Looks like surfer in white. Emily did get the nod on that one. Oh, sorry, this is Emily here up on her backhand. She's getting a little caught up, but that might be okay. It's a little face shampoo session there, but that wave not offering any clean face or lip for her to work with, so she's out of there. So it was Amy Dupree's who was just in that ferocious paddle battle there with Kayla. So we'll see whether that fussed her or not. The two girls sitting side by side in the lineup still. Amy Dupree's with a 2-point ride of her own, and looks like it is Kayla getting busy here. A lot of surfers on the backhand, the goofy footers. Nice little hook to start with. Waiting for this one to stand up. Good timing here by Kayla. Riding this one all the way through to the inside. Will it stand up again? Kayla Noguera. Good little ride there. So that'll most likely be better than a 2.5. So great start. Really busy in a little coaching session in the last heat. That's what we said was the key to getting through this one. It seems as though Amy Dupree is doing the same here. Also keeping busy. But that wave, nothing doing, Kai.
Yeah, and Amy comes from a strong family. We saw her brother Mitch Dupree up earlier in the under-16 boys. Obviously, Bryce, the older brother, also competing in the Pro Junior men. They're from East London, and the East London community is just... They're diehard surf competitors. You know, Greg Emsley comes from there, Mulherby family, Rosie, Royden Bryson. So the scene there is so strong, and they are so competitive. Just their local, provincial little contests and club contests, like you would think it's the CT, like they go hard. So, you know, you got that class from above. Greg's teaching all the local kids now, and who better to teach them than a 9-year CT veteran? So watch Amy Dupree. She's not new to competitive surfing, but she's new to taking it really seriously. And she looks like she's got her game face on. Olivia Izzard, super experienced. She had a look at that, deciding obviously not to go because Emily Winter had priority. And probably a good call for Olivia, that one just closing out.
Yeah, some great insights there, Kai, as we see Kayla Noguera locking in a 5-point ride. So that's going to be an absolute keeper on a day like today there. That one for the 2-turn combination riding through to the inside there. So 7.5, good heat total. And I guess we were talking about earlier on with Dutchie and also Jared is just how great that domestic competitive circuit is, and how great it is to feed through to these bigger events. As you said, you know, a lot of the girls also competing in the under 16 division, also in the Pro Junior, so competing up a few divisions as well, and really just benefiting from, you know, all the people around them and all the opportunities they get to have a go. You know, it's a long way from East London to here in Ballito, and 20-minute heat. It could be a difference between advancing and not, is that experience back at home and the domestic circuit that is kind of developing those competitive nature there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been great in South Africa. You know, we didn't have a competitive scene for a few years, and, you know, we got the City Surf Series now. Vans are doing an event up at Lambert's Bay on the West Coast. So now we've suddenly got like 7, 8, you know, top-level QS events, and the difference is really showing in these youngsters as we see Amy up and riding, going left. Nice little hook off the top for her there, comes around and ejects. And especially when you talk about Kayla Noguera, in the first heat you saw Sophie Bell. These girls are competing already in the pro ladies divisions as well, you know. So they're surfing in the last event. They got to surf against the next world champion, and they're getting to surf against ladies they normally wouldn't get to compete against, and then they're bringing that experience back to these pro juniors. I mean, as we sit here in Ballito talking, there is a QS 3000 ladies event happening in Port Elizabeth, like a couple of hours down the coast. So that's fantastic for South African surfing that we've actually got back-to-back events like this.
And look, you're seeing it too. Mikey February's now on that championship tour. And, we have so many guys. I think there's 6 guys in the main draw. So I
think it might even be up to 8 now. There's been a few withdrawals. And, there is a frothing pack of junior South Africans waiting for anyone not to show up for their heat.
So great work by both Surfing South Africa and World Surf League South Africa. And, of course, Billabong. 21 years they've been supporting this junior series, which is just outstanding that now they've actually got the pathway right. That's what I guess what we're talking about, folks, is that competitive pathway is right. And hopefully in a few years' time, we'll see some of these young people, the young juniors, on that main stage. I mean, look at on the championship Samsung Galaxy Tour at the moment. We've got a girl whose name is escaping me, from Florida. She's only 16 years old and is absolutely killing it.
Well, it's mental. I mean, a 16-year-old competing against the top in the world. But, I mean, we're watching some of the... On the men's side, there's a couple of youngsters really giving it. As you see Amy with a nice little float. She just couldn't get over the bumps down. That tide is filling in quite fast now. You're going to see a lot of... backwash coming into it, and you got that name, Caroline Marks.
So I just went a blank there. Yeah, Caroline.
You know what happened there, of course, which is what always happens, is that you went blank and you transferred the blank to me.
Is that what happened?
It's like a yawn. Like you yawn and I yawn.
Well, no yawning in this heat, folks. Only a couple of throwaways, but some good scores being locked in by the girls. Conditions here not looking picture postcard perfect. Certainly not what these lighties would have drawn on their school books.
Oh, you've been spending time, yeah.
I like it here. It's a fantastic region. It's a fantastic place here in Quadakuza. As we see Olivia Izzard up and riding. Can this one stand up for her? Nope. So just a little quick in and out there. But that's the key. Get busy. Have as many waves as you want. Keep those judges busy. 20-minute heats. So you're not going to get beyond that 15-wave heat score total maximum. So keep busy. Of course, the tide not quite on the drain out yet, still filling in, I believe, Kai. You can see that pulled back shot.
I think we're looking at about 12:30 for the high today.
So that's another 15 minutes or so on that high, still pushing in. So,
but we saw some really good conditions this morning. I mean, for the pro junior men in the first heats, it was almost, we saw a couple of barrels. We saw some really big turns. I had a little morning surf up the beach. I'll keep harping on about that one. But the waves were really, really good. And I think there's so much sand this year. That's the big difference.
Yep.
Like, you paddle out there, you actually have to stand up again after your first little 5 meters because the sandbank just goes dry. And we haven't seen that much sand at Ballito in a couple of years. And I'm telling you now, if we get a good swell with clean winds, it is going to be a show out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Love the conditions here. I just caught in the face of that wave, just a couple of fish having a swim around. So just alive, the conditions here at Ballito, Willards Beach. Looks like.
Here goes Amy up and running. Oh, goes down. And it's interesting you say that because, of course, about an hour down the coast, it's the sardine run at the moment. So there's a little bit of paranoia always around this time. The sardines come in, the ocean literally goes alive. You've got whales, dolphins, killer whales, pilot whales, and, of course, sharks. And we can't avoid them. But we've been looking good. They've been spotted as far as Durban, and they haven't moved further up the coast. So, we've got a fantastic water team. Damo and his crew know exactly what's going on. They're all watermen from the area. They know this ocean, and, no one's really in danger. We've got the drones going up and checking things out, and I think we're in good hands.
It's called the Dolphin Coast. We haven't seen any dolphins as yet today, but look forward to them throughout the week, folks. They'll be making their way up and down the coast here. Expect to see them as we're just working our way through this heat. The girls having a little bit of a look on the inside, trying to find some little wedges. That's been the key. You can see the wind blowing from left to right. I'm going to go with northwest.
Probably more in the northeast now.
Okay.
That westerly was supposed to hold off for the morning, and then it's going to blow now over lunchtime. This will be the strongest wind of the day, and then backing off at around 5 p.m. So
that's creating the ridges in the face.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, which is kind of good in terms of it can provide a few of those chip shot corners on the wave, but at the same time it's also making them close out a little bit on this bank as well. So situation, we have Kayla Nguera really just sitting on that 5, that one good wave, and the 2.5 that she locked in the first opening minutes of the heat. And also, Amy Dupree's also sitting there, but her position in second, not at all safe, with Emily Winter and Olivia Izzard just waiting to find something else substance. We saw green and blue bow out in the last heat. Of course, Olivia and Emily were hoping for that to not be a repeat affair in this one, as we see the girls paddling for a little set.
We know surfers are kind of superstitious, though, so, it could be the curse of green and blue.
Well, it's not just about the colours. We don't just give out the colours to anyone. It's not a rock, paper, scissors. It's not what matches your eyes or your outfit. Of course, there is some method in the madness, which we will come back to, because this is our heat leader, Kaylin Aguera, on a backhand. Really cooking that one, but not able to ride through it. Of course, red going to our highest seeded surfer. And you mentioned earlier on that Kayla's done a lot of these events and done a lot of them, so should have the highest point rankings. Amy Dupree's up and riding. Nice tag there on that one, Kai.
Yeah, that was a good one. And I like that she's keeping busy too. Like, she's not waiting. This morning I would have said the game was definitely get priority, wait for those sets and get the bangers. But we've seen that backfiring on a few surfers as the wind and the tide have changed. So keeping busy, I think, is the game plan. Get as many waves on the belt. You never know which wave is actually going to open up and give you that scoring potential.
No, absolutely. And as I just delve into the mind of poor Emily Winter there, who just watched the two surfers in the lead who had priority just get 2 more waves. She would have been watching them hit the sections from behind and then look around out to sea and just be copping the set of the day on the head. So sometimes the Mother Nature in the ocean is a cruel beast sometimes. So
she is indeed. Asked me a few days ago. I copped a nice 8-wave set on the head and then got destroyed on the rocks at Supers.
So certainly heaps of power out here. It looks like Kaylin Aguera just fighting a priority battle with herself. That, or she's seen something out to sea that she wants to take a look at. I'm always interested when surfers paddle really hard, Kai, and sort of kick, and then wonder what the impact of that is on the lactic acid in the legs when they do actually get up and riding, particularly as they're trying to make their way out to sea. But that
You're deep, bro.
Analysis, that's what we do, Kai. We're not just in here for our good looks.
I've never even thought of that. Now you got me thinking. Lactic acid in the legs. Well, I was speaking to a friend who's a dietitian and a trainer the other day, and he was saying, Kai, the reason you are getting cramps in your calves and hamstrings in the mornings is because you drink coffee before you surf. Wait till after your morning surf for your coffee because it dehydrates you.
There you go. I often look at the clubby scene, the life-saving on their rescue boards. They do a lot of kicking with their legs, but that's because they don't have to actually stand up too much. Speaking of standing up, this is the Surfer in Blue. Great-looking wave here for Olivia Izzard, but just, you can see she drew off the bottom really nicely. Great line. Wanted to commit, saw the wave was starting to pitch, and then had a second thought. She really needed to go up and over, get really loose in those upper shoulders just to get up and over, and that would have been a really big, strong, solid crack and could have set her up for, a really good wave and potentially advancing. But it's just that second holding back, the second thoughts, which kind of made her become unstuck, as we say in the commentary scene.
That word we try to avoid. Yeah, Olivia's a really good surfer, and I mean, like you said, she came off the bottom. She was looking so good. That section may be breaking just a little too fast, and it's that moment you got to go for, like, do I straighten out or do I go for broke and try to get the big climb up the whitewater? It is a heavy wave here. We were just saying there's so much sand right now, and it's not big, but I can tell you now it gives you a good old wallop, and she got the guillotine there for sure.
Hey, look, of course, us here in the commentary booth, we make those waves every day of the week here, sitting dry with our microphones. But the reality is, that's a split-second decision, and you're on a moving board on a moving surface, so incredible balance required to be able to complete a lot of these manoeuvres. So we see Emily Winter on the backhand here. Lovely little crack, but just a little late, potentially, Kai, getting to that section.
I love the flow on that one. Like, she really built up the speed. She went for the big crack. You saw that rebound almost hit her at the same time, and it's going to get a few people through the next few heats till that tide starts dropping out again. There's definitely a little rebound. The beach here is so big right now, and there's a big drop-off, and on the high tide, it's washing up and down that drop-off. Makes life really interesting for the ski operators too, as you know, as being a hardened ski operator. And we've seen a couple of kids yesterday too get a little beating on the shore break. One poor girl, here we go, Kaylin Aguera up and riding. And that's a solid little crack off the top. I like it. And you can see the game faces on there for sure. And working it through to the inside, and she'll hit eject. So I was saying is, like, we saw one of the poor girls yesterday. She thought she was safe on the beach, and she put her legs down, and the knees got taken out by the rocks. So you've got to be on your game here at Ballito. It's not just a clean piece of beach. There's rocks everywhere. There's little gullies and channels and sand in the weirdest places too. You think it's, the wave kind of fades out, and you think you're safe, and then it just jumps up and destroys you.
Well, you've spent more time out here than I have this week so far, Kai. As we just check in with 2 minutes 30 remaining. Kayla Noguera still sitting, interestingly, Kai. I think she got those 2 waves in the first couple of minutes of the heat, first 3 or 4 minutes, and hasn't been able to improve on them since. So that speaks volumes about the need to keep busy here. And surfers in green and blue just unable to find anything of great substance at all, really. Just some in and outs. We are still waiting on a score, I believe, for one of them on that last hand for the backhander. As we see here, is this Olivia's chance? No, hands over, of course. Priority come into play there.
Just looking in the background, seeing one of the surfers in the next heat sitting out back there, Zoe Stain. I don't know if you've seen her before. She's out of East London as well. No, she's not related to Dale, but good call. Could be. But very, very talented young surfer, absolutely rips, and she's been doing really well through the series this year. So good surfer to keep an eye on. And again, like you said, she's been doing really well. She's in that red vest. She's got the number 1 seed for the heat.
Well, as we count this one down, minute 25, it's going to be the longest minute of Kayla Noguera, her life, and of course Emily Winter and Olivia Izzard. It's going to go super, super fast for them, because they are going to be hoping that those little bumps out the back will make their way to the lineup. As you see, the girls have just noticed it now. Hopefully it's not one of those closeout sets, and there is an opportunity afforded. Of course, Kayla surfing really smart. She's got first priority, so she can call in any wave she wants. And Olivia Izzard, she's on the inside. Can she do something with this one? No, she can't, unfortunately. Just not able to get up and over on that one.
And Olivia is pretty much a local here. Very good friends with Sophie Bell, who lives just up the road. Olivia from Umhlanga down the drive, so she surfs here a lot. So just shows you how difficult conditions are. Emily, she's really hungry for that big backside attack in the pocket, but that wave just came in a bit too hard for her. And 30 seconds on the clock now. I'd say red and white are looking pretty sweet. And Amy Dupree looking at a wave here. And that's a good-looking little bowl at the moment.
So just bides her time dropping in there, because it was a steep takeoff, but there wasn't much shoulder. So she did that really well, just not transferring down the beach too far, just trying to ride and control that speed straight in the bottom turn in the hope to go straight up. But the shoulder just not offering anything there. As we hear the beach announcers, Dutchie just counting that one in. And the story is all about the red and white. Kayla Noguera and Amy Dupree's pretty much just controlling that heat from start to finish, Kai. So they'll move through to our next round. And unfortunately, we do see Emily and Olivia bow out of that one.
So it's going to be interesting to see if the curse of white and green continues. It's been back-to-back heats. And coming up in this next heat, like I said, Zoe Stain from East London. Keep an eye on this girl. She is not scared of big waves. She is quite a power-based surfer, loves putting the board on the rail. And she'll go for a few cracks out there for sure. Of course, Gabby Laveux in the blue, also local from just down the road. And she surfs here all the time. Zoe Smith from the Smith clan, her older sisters Gina and Emma, you would have seen them before in the Pro Juniors and the main events.
Isn't Emma down at the moment surfing the 3000 down the road?
Yeah, she'll be at the 3000. I think I saw Gina here, but Emma will probably be surfing in the main event here for the ladies as well. And then I'm not too sure on Surfer and Green. This
Tiana
is a new...
Breeze, she's Trans-Tasman, New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
From New Zealand,
from
yep.
the land of the white cloud.
Over my way, so... Of course, we're not paid. We're not allowed to be supporting anyone, but I will be. Just because she's in the green, and because green hasn't been going so well. That's why, not because she comes from down the Australasian region.
I was going to mention another sport in Australia, but I think I'll lay off you on day one.
Okay, Zoe staying on her backhand here. Lots of speed to burn. Little hook here, transferring down the line. What can she see? Look at her square this one up. You can see her eyes on that section from a absolute mile back. So... Great little backhand attack there. Looking forward to Zoe really completing a few of those throughout this heat.
I like that you talk about the eyes on her, because I've had a few surfs with her, and she has got the most steely look in her eyes when she surfs. Like, she is the most focused young girl I've seen in a long time in pro surfing. And I mean, she was out at East London during the QS there, and it was solid, like Nahoon Reef, 6, maybe even 8 feet, and she was going for broke out there, like absolutely no fear.
So as I try and become an instant expert on some of our surfers out here, I'm just checking out the World Surf League app there, Kai, so you guys can download that at home as well. For those of you watching on the app online, unable to make it down here, big hello to all of you watching. You too can be instant experts just like Kai and myself and check out all the surfers and their results. So I am checking out Tiana, the New Zealander here. She's had a real crack at the QS this year, getting a 13th at the Crew Pro and a 7th down at the Geordie Smith Cape Town Pro. So that's probably her best couple of results, as well as being on the junior tour. So we talked a bit about that, the surfers being able to double up on that junior and also in the open women's events too, and just getting that competitive experience.
Yeah, we've got a couple of the kids and the guys as well doing both. And here goes
Zoe
Smith. And that wave just runs away. We've seen a lot of that in the last few heats. You've got to really pick your poison out there. You've got to make sure you get those little runners. And they are out there. We've seen a couple. I mean, Zoe's last wave gave her the 2 turns. And she got a 2.0 for that, pretty much just for the 1 turn. So the judges, they're pretty unforgiving lot. You've got to produce if you want the scores.
Yeah, not much human or personality in those guys in the judging booth. That was all afforded to us, Kai, in the commentary booth here. Yep, they don't feel bad about chucking out those low numbers. And we say that absolutely in jest, folks. You can also be an instant expert. Check out the scoring criteria on the World Surf League site there. Speed, power and flow, basically, if you tear everything apart, is what they are looking for. And yeah, Zoe Stain had lots of speed to burn. We mentioned it when she was on that wave, and the judges rewarding that speed transferred into the first turn. Would have loved to have seen the score had she have completed that the second manoeuvre of hers.
Yeah, it would have been a good one, eh? And you can see she's already back on the outside in second priority. She's going to have a look at this one, but Gabby is going to pull the trigger on priority. Surfer in blue. Another strong, goofy foot surfer out here. And again, you can see she was just behind that section, that whole wave, and really tricky out there.
You can see her footing wasn't quite in the sweet spot either, as we see Zoe just going to benefit from the cleaner second wave of this set. On her backhand, nothing interesting offering, so she's just going to pop back out of that one. But yeah, going back to Gabby's wave, it was a nice little takeoff, and that's the thing here with Ballito, Kai, is the steepness of the wave has been really challenging for some of the surfers, particularly on their backhand. You've got to get up really quick and set that rail really quick. And if your feet aren't in that exact sweet spot, it's really hard to transfer that energy in that wave from the bottom turn straight up, and you can be finding yourself feeling a little wobbly underfoot, as Gabby did on that one. But plenty of time to go as we see the waves pumping through, which is great. Zoe Smith can have a look at this one, hoping to do more than the last one. Look at the eyes, just squaring up there.
Yeah, that one was looking a little dangerous on the section as she straightened out. She had a really nice little high-speed carve to start. See the smile at the end. So she's just out there having a good time. And now Zoe, big bottom turn. And you see her get that wrap in the pocket. And she'll pull out and paddle backline. Of course, like I said, she's from East London. They take this stuff very seriously. They don't hang around. They fight for priority. And Zoe will be charging backline with the whole East London crew on the beach screaming encouragement, I can guarantee.
There is a lot of people on the beach today. Of course, winter time here, but kind of conducting itself like it is summer.
Summer and winter, man. Ballito, Quatacuza, you got to love it. This is the best place to be in winter.
Water temperature?
Oh, so warm. I was in a 2 mil short arm this morning and getting hot, really. It's pretty warm. I'd say the water's probably at about 20, 21 at the moment.
Wow, beautiful pullback conditions. That camera shot down the beach there, checking everything out in what is the middle of winter here. Winter solstice a couple of days ago, so shortest day of the year. So we are close to the middle of winter. And you guys are just, I don't know how you live with yourselves with these conditions down here, Kai.
Well, we've got to make the most of Ballito every year because, of course, the day after we are off to Jeffreys Bay. And there's already snow on the mountains in the interior. We've had, of course, bad droughts down there, so it's really good that we're having a proper winter. There's been lots of rain. what that means is when you get to J-Bay, it's the Ugg boots on, the beanie, the jacket, because when that offshore blows, it is freezing.
Well, you can have that to yourself. I'll be watching online, safe here in the comfort of Quatakuza, where it's nice and warm. So we just check in back with the heat. Seems a bit of a Zoe off out there. Zoe Stain and Zoe Smith just arm wrestling for first position here. And white and red, our two highest seeded surfers. What's interesting is Taylor Demuge just hasn't found a wave as we approach 7 minutes elapsed in this heat so far. So wondering what her strategy is. I can't see her immediately on screen. So I don't know if she's hunting up and down the beach a little bit more. And then Gabby Lalve.
I got this one wrong for a long time. Laveau.
That's her up and riding. Gabby swooping on a backhand. I love how she opened her shoulders up there, but the wave just not allowing her. And again, Zoe staying at the back, having a look at this one here. But nothing doing that one. The conditions, looks like the wind has just backed off a little bit here, Kai. Maybe instead of being 15 knots, it's only 10 there, giving a few clean faces. And look at this little wedge for Zoe Stain in the lead here. What's she going to do? Just compression, lovely hook on that one there. You could see from the beginning, and we talked about it in the last heat, it's all about the compression here to really manage your way through these bumps and maintain that speed in these wedges. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say she's going to replace her low score of a 2-point ride there and improve on her lead, Zoe Stain in the red. And again, 12 minutes or so remaining here. And again, I can't see the surfer in the green, our New Zealand surfer. Not sure where she is out there.
Might be a no-show. I mean, we do have those sometimes in round one. She might still be in the event in PE. We maybe need to check the 3000 because she could have entered that and then thought maybe if she got knocked out, she'd be here in time for the juniors. But it's been a tricky one with the event overlap, especially for the ladies and the junior ladies.
Well, we've got it with the end of this event and also the event down in J-Bay as well. So we're going to see how we go in there. And you're spot on. She is down in that QS 3000 in the Volkswagen South Africa Open of Surfing. And she got bowed out. I'm just checking out. She got beaten in her last heat by a Zoe McDougall. So Zoe's all over the place. If you are a parent at home looking forward to having a lighty come up as a surfer, Zoe seems to be the name to go with.
Well, of course, Zoe McDougall going out with South Africa's top-seeded QS surfer, Maddie McGillivray. They're a lovely couple, and she travels more miles. She's from Hawaii. She was just in Cabo. Before Cabo, she was on the west coast with us here in South Africa in Lambert's Bay. Flew back to America, went to Cabo in Baja, Mexico, and then flew all the way back for PE and then Ballito next. So cracking up the air miles, Zoe McDougall.
Cracking up the jet lag too, I'd imagine. Sometimes it's hard to, whilst it looks good on paper at home, it really takes a few days to settle in to an event, the food, the culture, the time zones. Don't worry about that. Gabby's not worried about that time zone. She's worried about just cracking that one and just... Those lefts are a little bit softer than the punchy right-handers because of the protection of the rock wall there, so not able to complete that one.
And it seems to be a common problem in these last few heats. You're seeing a lot of big turns gone for, and they kind of just wash off the back. It's a bit like of a soft face, and you've got that rebound. And White was having a look there. Zoe could have lost her priority right there. Sandile, the priority judge, is pretty ruthless. He's if you're going to paddle for a wave, you're going to, and there you go, Zoe staying straight into priority. And it's an interesting one with the Groms or the lighties. You've got to learn that priority system, and the rules are pretty straightforward. If you show a commitment to a wave, you are going to lose your priority.
And of course, the priority and introduction of that notion of who gets first wave only being in for a couple of years in the juniors here, but great as part of that pathway. Look at this little wedge here, Zoe. I thought it looked better perhaps on screen than in real life.
But what I like there is just on that point, you saw Zoe started paddling, made the decision not to go and pulled off early enough that she didn't really commit to the wave.
She didn't, but you're ruthless.
Oh, he is ruthless.
Sandile.
Look at that.
Sandile Makwadi just going, nope, you did have a look, sunshine. Bad luck.
Oh, I'm glad I called it right. My Zulu warrior friend was like, that is not happening.
Well, we'll come back to that. Let's see if Gabby can replace one of those 1-point rides here. It's a good-looking wave. How's it going to stand up for her? A little hook there, back to the power source, and frustration showing in the body language there of Gabby, just not able to find anything. That one looked good, but just not offering anything.
Well, the conditions are tricky. I really like the power base on that turn. Like, she hammered into that turn, but then just not getting the ride out. So She's going to have to reset on the outside. And, I mean, she hasn't got a huge ask ahead of her. I mean, she's got like a 155 and a 1-4. You know, if you look at Zoe Smith, a 225 and a 1. So it's a real tight battle between those two.
Very achievable.
Yeah, very achievable. And you can see, like you said, you like how Gabby's opening the shoulders. She's putting the board on the rail. She just needs to find the right wave to put all those things together.
Well, if we can just get super deep on the analysis, Kai, I'd argue that Gabby's just trying to surf to what she wants to surf rather than surfing to the conditions. You can see her really, rather than feeling that wave out and seeing what it was going to offer, she's really thinking about and predicting what she was going to do there, really, you know, coming hard off the bottom when that wave could have maybe had a bit more down the line transverse on it before she squared up on that one. So just getting super deep on our analysis in here.
It's too true, though, dude. It's too true. And, I mean, you know, surfing is definitely one of those sports where you can't think like that. You need to be open to what's happening out there.
Well, it's a flow component of the judging criteria, right?
Yeah. Well, here we go, Zoe. I like the look of this one. Big bottom turn, hooks it up. Oh, just going down. That would have been a cracker turn.
It was a cracking turn, just not completed, unfortunately. On that one, she held off on a bottom turn. It was a long, drawn-out one and just waited. She really coiled up and then released. See Zoe Smith here. He's got a little quiet in the last few minutes. Just nothing doing on that one again. So sticking. We've got a few backhand surfers in this one. Zoe there, not able to find the face again, but she's still sitting okay in that second position. That leaves Gabby out the back now, waiting for something as our two Zoes had a crack at those ones. Zoe's staying. Is she going to replace a three-point ride on that one, Kai, you think?
Well, if she made the turn, for sure, but I'm afraid not. We spoke about those judges. They are pretty strict. And Zoe, yeah, like you said, she was pretty quiet and then got stuck on that takeoff. The judges are never liking the lie down around the section. This is not a bodyboarding contest. It is a surf contest, so that's not going to work for her.
Can I jump in there, mate, just as we see a nice set passing through. Bali Corona protected event. I think we had one of the Brazilian surfers do that and take off. And I remember at Bells too, Gabrielle Medina did the same. And you think, when you or I take off on our stomach, well, that's it. You look silly. You've got no speed to burn. Those guys still managed to maintain their speed on that one. So we see Gabby just getting a nice wave there, nothing doing. But yeah, managing to maintain and still come off the bottom, and just shows how incredible those guys are, how attuned to their boards. And they just, even when they stand up on the flats there from that prone stomach position, still just have that compression to just square up. And it's just incredible to see. And those guys really do make me want to give up surfing sometimes in how well they do that.
Yeah, they are disgustingly good. That is for sure.
Ilo Ferreira, the surfer, of course, I'm referring to then, as I have my second surfer blank of the day. You can check out all that action on the app. I can't remember which heat it was, but I remember him just coming off the bottom and thinking, wow, if that was me, I wouldn't be able to make it. But those guys just are the world's best for a reason. And of course, speaking of the world's best, we do have them coming up later on in a couple of days' time. But they are sitting around the event site. They are surfing down at Boggs either side, and Sunrise, the two beaches either side of our main competition area. So really good for these girls to warm up, be able to see them surf and learn a bit from their surfing too.
Well, what was really exciting is in Cape Town, and then I saw her free surfing in Jeffreys Bay earlier this week, and she'll be here for the main ladies event, was Sofia Milanovic. And incredible to have like a ex-world champion like Sofia out from Peru here to compete in the ladies. And I was actually standing in Cape Town. I had a heat off from the beach mic, and I was standing with a crew of these young junior women surfers, and they literally lost their minds. It was like Justin Bieber had arrived, but it was Sofia Milanovic, and it was so cool to see that the girls were so excited to see a surfer of that caliber here competing against them.
How good's our sport? If you played tennis, you wouldn't be able to have access to the tops. If you played rugby or any other soccer, you don't often get to rub shoulders with the best, and it's one of the awesome things about our sports. And I'm sure Sophia would have been really obliging with her time and afforded those guys just some invaluable insights and just being able to hang out. Of course, selfies also really invaluable too.
It's an important part of life these days, dude. It was actually World Selfie Day 2 days ago. I pulled one off at the airport. I was like, yo, I'm in Ballito.
I saw yours and thought, I'm not going to top that one, so I didn't do one myself.
You were winning the selfie battle last year with rhinos and elephants, though. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I had a good time there. Quite a cruiser, offering it up. Why wouldn't I?
Hanging out with Mick Fanning, just being famous.
was a good trip, that one, with the guys from Wild Ark. We had Tyler Wright on there as well, and actually had Luke Rockhold, who is an MMA fighter. So it was kind of cool for me to learn something about that sport, something I don't know much about. So that's
You clearly did not make him angry.
absolutely not, no. But yeah, one of the great things about our sport is being able to do these things, and it's just a massive camaraderie and friendship across the world. You guys take me in every year, coming over here.
Well, you're technically half South African. You're married in. You're part of. You're a 50-50 now. We'll give it to you.
Yeah. Well, while I'm over here, I'm going to go 70-30. Although no one on the beach can understand what I'm saying a lot of the time.
You're going to shout for the Springboks this afternoon, though, against England.
I most certainly am.
Good.
I've been looking for Bafana in the World Cup draw. They didn't make it,
let's not go there,
unfortunately.
please.
Back to live action here. We've got Gabby on her backhand. She has moved into second position. Nice little tag there. Doesn't ride out. She did just bump Zoe Smith down into third with that last wave of hers. Had she have ridden out of that one, that would have made her second position a little more solid and more secure. Of course, Zoe Stain has been the story of this heat, holding into first position the whole time. But Gabby and Zoe Smith just wrestling for that second and third position throughout the course of this heat. Just under 3 minutes remaining. So you can see Zoe out the back there. She knows she's in third. She just needs to replace a 1 to push her up. So only 0.15 or 1.16 by looks of it to get her into that advancing second position here.
Yeah, and it's good to see a bit of a battle developing now for that second place. They don't have to worry about fourth, of course, because she's still stuck in PE. But also exciting to talk about Tyler Wright, obviously, and the ladies tour, because they're coming back to J-Bay this year, and that's going to be awesome. And I mean, last year in the free surfs around the main event, Tyler was absolutely charging in J-Bay, like really killing it.
And that was her first time going there last year.
Yeah,
so,
amazing.
And for a lot of the girls too, a lot of them haven't surfed there. In fact, I'd say most of them haven't surfed there. We chatting to Lakey Peterson. She's actually engaged to a guy who lives around the corner from me, Tommy, and she said that she was going to come and do a trip with us out here before this event, but having won over there in Indonesia, she's so focused on that world title race now. She's heading down to, I think she's down at J-Bay really soon just to get that practice. Here we go. Zoe Stain just getting gobbled by a big wave there. One of the bigger waves we've seen of this heat.
Yeah, well, they got to do it. I mean, you can't just pitch up in J-Bay and think you're going to do well. A lot of surfers, including some of the greats like Andy Irons, were pretty humbled in their first few years competing there. And only after they had really put the time in and learnt the wave. Pretty similar to Felipe last year. Before that, Felipe had shockers at J-Bay and put in some time. Didn't come to Ballito for the first time in years last year. Went to J-Bay, put a month in the water, and ended up winning the event. So you got to go put that time in. But I'm super excited to see girls like Lakey Peterson out of J-Bay. Sure. I mean, she's made for that wave. But it's going to be interesting to see which CD girls are here in Ballito for the points, for requalification on the QS. A lot of them were, like Silvana Lima was surfing now in Port Elizabeth at 3,000.
Yep.
Are they going to think, oh, I'm on the back end of the scale, I need to do the QS? Or are they going to rather go and focus on J-Bay and learn how to surf the point?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And with so many events on offer on the card, the global card, it's you've got to really pick and choose around the travel and which events you think working well in terms of the ratings. As you said, a 3,000 rated event down the point. I'm going to be interested to see which girl gets the wild card for that event. I know, speaking of experience, Sean Holmes, is a giant killer, took out a lot of the top seeded guys over the years that he was the wild card in it. Mikey Wright's actually been given the wild card for the Corona J-Bay Open, so really interested to see how he's going to go down there as we just see this event, this heat just count down. Heat number 4, Zoe Stain, she sat pretty throughout the whole time, and we've got Gabby just taking that one, taking out the second advancing position over Zoe Smith, who had it for the most part of that heat. So we move on through. That was the last heat of the women's for this round. So we'll just wait. We've got I'm just hearing in my ear. We've got 2 heats of the round 14 boys. Look like they're going to be coming up next. So just bear with us, folks, as we change over all our scoring systems. Might get a change of commentators as well. You go and get yourself whatever beverage you need, whether it's a J-Bay, if it's appropriately after, if it's a Corona after lunchtime, wherever you are. We'll be with you shortly. We are here at the Ballito Pro, presented by Billabong for the juniors.
Alrighty. We're back. Did you miss me?
I did. I didn't miss the quality surfing we had in that last heat, though. So just bear with us on this one, folks, in terms of our display on screen. Just found out only the WSL-based surfers are in our system in terms of being able to be displayed. So we'll just wait to bring our surfers here.
I can tell you that it's Cara Benny.
Cara Benny.
His brother took out a win earlier in the under 16s. In red, we got Dan Mace. And I'm going to try and identify them as they get up on their feet.
Kai Benny, 0.9. That was a nice little up. A nice hit on that section, just not riding out of it. But he looked very smooth. I haven't seen him surf before.
Very charismatic little character. Last year at our SA Junior Championships in Lower Point in Jeffreys Bay, he actually did Wolverine claims after every wave. But scoring nines and things, so really great little talent, a little Billabong surfer.
The audacity of these junior surfers.
Oh no!
Was just
how dare they?
We weren't able to do it in our day, but you know what? We weren't able to surf like they didn't. These guys are surfing like they are pros now, and they've got some. Even just the rail lines they're drawing.
Oh, little mini pros.
They're not doing wiggles. They're really established surfing from the young guys.
Yeah, no more such than the guy in red in this heat. Goes by the name of Daniel Emsley. Comes from incredible surfing heritage, and here he goes. I mean, look at that.
Oh my God.
Look at his board control. Are you joking?
I'm not joking, but
I'm not joking either. We don't joke here. This is serious.
Speed.
Power.
Tick. Power.
Yep.
Tick.
Flow. Control.
Tick. That
everything.
was really good surfing. Really mature surfing.
Yeah, exactly. From day one, I saw this guy surf. It's incredible. So yeah, the two older brothers, Justin and Greg Emsley. Greg Emsley, of course, was on the world tour for about 9 years, I think, maybe even longer. And he's a natural footer, and he got a son in this event, which is a goofy footer. And Greg's brother, Justin, who's a goofy footer, has got a natural footer in Daniel Emsley. So how did that happen?
Oh, gobbledygook. Back to front. Yeah, I think Greg's best result was second in France when he was on that championship tour.
Yeah, he got second to Mick Fanning.
One of the nicest guys you will ever meet as well.
He's affectionately known as the Foot in South Africa.
Of course, he, I believe he's commentating doing the beach down there at J-Bay, the Corona J-Bay Open. So
yeah, he has been for a whole bunch of years. That could very well be our Israeli competitor, Sadeh.
Yeah.
That's it.
Jiva Bar Sadeh.
I watched him surf yesterday. I watched him surf throughout the heats this morning. He came out here in a brother-sister duo combo. So, his sister made it through her heat earlier. So, go Israel.
Yeah, great to see the international representation here. Looks like this is Kira up the back. Let's see what we can do. Speed. Look at that speed turn straight away.
Yeah, a little Carabini. And he was saying,
Kyra. How was
my goodness.
That was a great little re-entry, like throwing the fins out there. That was, again, I'm just blown away by how mature the surfing is there.
Let me just remind you that this is under 14s.
I'm shaking my head here in the booth, folks. This is really mature surfing from these little guys. So we'll try and keep you updated with the scores as they sort of come in. No doubt the boys here surfing maturely, but still got that Grom stoke and that Grom energy that they'll be catching everything that moves out there.
Yeah, man. It looks like it's a 3-man. You can spot that little blonde head of Emsley a mile away. I'm trying to get this nickname to get sticking. Q-tip.
Q-tip?
Like, would you clean your ears with? It's a good one.
I'll buy it. Carabeni, a 5.5 for that last one. So great little wave as we see a nugget just reeling down that pullback shot on the beach there. I'm hoping that these guys actually surf themselves out so we can get a wave or two in the free surf, because I didn't go out this morning because of these guys. They were hungry and they were surfing really well, and I was a little too daunted. So
yeah, I started going to junior events thinking that I can bully the kids and get some waves, but these days they're just surfing circles around me and I just sleep in. So,
well, I mean, if you think, under 14 events, you're thinking just wiggles and you're thinking no rails and you think racing down the line and wasting whole waves. But what we've seen already in this heat so far is Dutchy just mature surfing. I just keep using that word. It's I can't imagine what these guys will be like in 5-6 years' time of this Billabong Junior Series under their belt.
When they're 50 kilograms?
Yeah. Look at just controlling that rail beautifully. Young Emsley threw that one. Nice little hook back to the power. Nice little hook again. Hoping this thing will stand up. Now he's seen it. Eyes that section. Lovely little whitewater jam there.
Yeah, redirects into the left and kicks out of that. So another score coming in.
How are you, Dutchy? Good to be in the booth with you.
Oh, Scotty, you sound different all of a sudden.
I learned South African accent all out of the blue.
Of course, Jared Smith joining me now in the booth. You were just down at the beach. Is the vibe still as electric as when I left?
Yeah, it's amazing, man. It's such a great time of year. Obviously, it's just the start of school holidays in South Africa right now. Kids all broke up yesterday from school, so beach is packed as usual. It's just an amazing venue, and for the city of Ballito, or the little town of Ballito, actually, it's the busiest time of year. They're completely sold out in accommodation, so it's a terrific vibe. Lots of retail on offer, as we see this young man in white get to work on this wave.
Gavabah Sadeh.
Yeah, we watched his sister early on surfing, the two Israeli brother and sisters coming down to South African shores, and now this young man in red, Mr. Emsley himself, goes for a big off the top, and of course we'll see if he fulfills the role of Bigfoot one day as well.
Yeah, definitely flares those fins out. But I mean, what a platform to even just grow up on. There was such backing. I mean, your uncle is a phenomenal career in surfing, and you just go from there. It's like a uncle and an absolute contest machine as an uncle. So how can you not learn from there? They've got great waves down there in East London, or Buffalo City, as we now call it. So they've got the waves, they've got the backing. What more do you want?
Daniel's dad, Greg's brother, when they were growing up, was touted to be even more talented than Greg. And so he does come from an incredible, sort of background of surfing and heritage. And, of course, East London, from Nahoon all the way, sort of up north to Queensbury, have just been producing world-class surfers for many, many years. We've got the likes of Rosie Hodge representing on tour as just a commentator now. But, of course, who could forget just what a stellar performance career she's had in her lifetime. Wendy Botha has come out of there as well.
Have you seen the previous seed, the doppelganger of Rosie coming out?
No, I did not.
Zoe Stain from Buffalo City.
Right.
She looks exactly like
and you said
Rosie.
as well,
Yeah.
just also full of talent as
full
well.
of talent.
Also under the watchful eye of Greg Emsley as well. Greg, of course, giving a lot back to surfing now from a grassroots level. He sits on the board of directors with Surfing South Africa. So it's incredible. I had a great chat with Greg at the start of the contest. And he was saying, he's got his own business interests that keep him busy, and so he does a lot of coaching for free. Sometimes the kids will give him a bit of money for filming them and getting involved. But it's amazing to see a former World Tour campaigner, the likes of Greg when he was surfing when it was still the world's top 44 back in the day, just giving so much back in terms of his experience and his expertise.
It's that passion. You don't necessarily want reward or compensation for it. You just want to give back because you want to see the youth rise up, and you just want to see them do good so badly. It's much like the Shapers. I mean, we give away too many boards for but for a little compensation, but we just want to see these kids thrive, man.
Yeah, for sure. You guys as well, the real unsung heroes as well, working tirelessly behind the scenes and putting in a lot of effort. And you occasionally hear it from the youngsters and the surfers when they stand up in a post-heat interview or at the end of an event and they thank their shapers. But I've got to be honest with you, it's few and far between that you hear the credit and the recognition going to the men and women that shape their craft.
more noticeably, it's always last minute.
Yeah, it's like, oh yes, and my shaper, by the way.
Yeah. No, I mean getting the board out. Hey, I need a board for the contest tomorrow. Okay, it's not that bad. They usually give us a week.
Did Dutchie, you were a big believer, and I know you were pushing for it. I don't know if you guys ever did it, but did you guys ever come out with the shirts that said, is my board ready yet?
I did. It was one of my best sellers, actually.
Something that you shapers hear all the time, I'm sure.
Yeah,
so
I had a skeleton with a telephone earpiece, as we see Carabeni up and running. Look at this maturity.
yeah, great bit of surfing from the youngster there. It was unfortunate not to get a better finish on that wave, but how was that first turn?
No, so on rail. And look at him scratch out there. He wants to get back out there. They already understand the priority. They already understand everything. They're growing up in this environment. It's incredible to watch.
So just 3 boys in the semi-final heats for the under-14s. And we see our surfer in red, Daniel Emsley, turn at the last minute and go on this one. Snaps it off the top, works his way through the inside, rebounding off that section, going onto his backhand. And again, you mentioned the word in that last wave, maturity, coming from these youngsters. And, of course, that's what they live and breathe, is watching contests. They watch their heroes like Geordie Smith and, you know, the guys on tour that are sort of paving the way for them. So, like you say, I mean, priority even, you know, at the earliest grassroots levels for these kids. They've got computer scores. They've got, you know, beach commentators giving them updates. They know all the rules. It's amazing.
And come Monday, they get to sit down and watch the best in the world. So it's like a petri dish of talent.
Man, and I like that analogy, Dutchie. How long have you been wanting to say that for?
I've been sitting on for at least 10 minutes now.
Absolutely it is. And, you know, it's fantastic to see the kids really giving it their all. The onshore wind blowing here on the east coast of South Africa, a northeasterly wind, is seemingly the great equalizer over the last 3 hours. Some pretty tough testing conditions. Obviously, being on the north coast as well, we're quite exposed to the swell and the conditions out here, so it doesn't really handle too much of a heavy wind, and of course all the swell coming in as well. It's pretty testing out there, Dutchie.
Yeah, I want to mention that to all the folks logged in and watching live on the web. That inside bank absolutely hammers down. So if anyone's paddling out there for free, wow, look at that turn from Daniel Emsley. So just to mention, we saw it a little bit on the girls' heats. We're doing dual commentary down at beach, and then we're doing web. But when you're down at the beach, you can actually almost feel those waves crashing. It's really powerful out there on the north coast.
Yeah, and of course we were having a little chat earlier as well about what a sort of a real tidal beach is, surfers on your camera or on your TV screen now or your phone if you're watching online.
Full high tide.
Yeah, and you know, these sandbanks get drastically affected by the low and the high tide. So right now, those 2 surfers that you see on your screen, just off center towards the right, are sitting close to the point of rocks. Where typically, you know, we expect the waves to start breaking from. But we've seen that wider peak towards the left of your screen, quite a bit further left. And, of course, it's almost like a dual beach break effect out there. And there we see with Daniel Emsley in red paddling out, we've seen plenty of waves coming through there. So watch the man in red sit wide. But this man in white goes for a little bit layback Larry off the top there, just unable to transition his weight over his board, just falling off. But, yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with Daniel Emsley sitting wide.
Carabeni up and riding now. Streaks across this one. He's looking for the big finish and just belly flops off that one. Yeah, we can reminisce a little bit about last year, for instance, just to reflect on how much the sand changes and moves around these parts. Last year, we didn't even see rides close to the rock, as we see another one from Dan Emsley. Tags it off the top, and another fins free closeout turn, just doesn't hang on to that one 100%. And yeah, predominantly last year, we were surfing on that peak on the left-hand side. Most of the surfing was being done on the rocks on the far side. And this year, a complete stark contrast where we were surfing on the opposite side of the beach. So definitely more sand filled in on the right-hand side of Willard's Beach. It's just incredible how sand moves. I mean, sand makes waves. So,
yeah, I think that's why some of the WSL surfers that are out here for the Ballito Pro are not too upset about this onshore wind. It is expected to blow in a bit more sand closer into the point and just sort of shape those sandbanks possibly a little bit better. On the forecast of the next couple of days, there are expected to be a few pulses coming through from as far south as Cape Town from that Atlantic. So it is the perfect time of year for the north coast of KwaZulu-Natal. Here we go with Daniel Emsley. Just kicks that tail out. Look how effortless that was. It was as if he was on a little quarter pipe and just popped the tail out of his skateboard, and that was effortless. There we go, straight into Cara Benny here. So
and
also
he answers right back.
Lovely little exchange here. Cara Benny in the blue and Daniel Emsley in red going toe-to-toe out there. You can see how close the two surfers are. But I particularly like that rotation from Daniel Emsley. Considered perhaps a little bit flicky, but let's be honest here, the conditions aren't exactly easy out there. And, the kids need to do what they got to do.
Well, I can tell you I'm not going to put you on the spot. I'll put myself on the spot.
I can't do that if that's what you're going to ask me.
I mean, I can tell you how many of those I did this year, and it's an absolute goose egg. It's 0 aerials from me, sorry. And this guy's under 14, and he just popped it like it was nothing. So, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch the kids these days do their training on terra firma, on dry land, and those with those carver boards and skateboards, and they're in the streets and on little quarter pipes. And I remember I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago when Red Bull did some stuff with Mick Fanning and Geordie and a little skate park and into some foam pits.
Yeah, they definitely do some aerial training into the foam pits. The skateboards are quite like it's an unnecessary evil really in surfing. I mean,
injuries, right?
Skateboarding and surfing goes hand in hand. I mean, we just reflect on the Dogtown. The guys started skating because the waves were bad. And, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand, the two board sports. But the parents are always like, they fall on the skateboards and get injured. But look what the skateboarding actually does for the sport. Like, it actually improves their skill level by, their balance training and all these sorts of things. So,
yeah, definitely. I suppose then the nature of the beast is to find the balance, right?
Yes.
And
timing, balance, and rhythm.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of these kids as well, they're kind of in it for a lot of fun, and then they start reaching these early teen years like these guys in the under 14 division.
Oh.
And we see Cara Benny just seeing what the local sea life is like there, maybe hunting for some crayfish on the bottom.
Checking out the shad on the bottom.
And we see a couple of bails there. Daniel Emsley deciding to bail off his board and get under a wave that looked about triple overhead for him. But yeah, so I think, the boys kind of hit these early teen years around about 13, 14 years old and start realizing that I think maybe I might have a future in professional surfing. So maybe we need to taper off on the sports like skateboarding and risk of injuries and things like that.
Yeah, you definitely see it. Like when you're a kid, you try everything and then you kind of like filtrate and you kind of narrow down what your focus is. And chucking yourself down a set of stairs and a handrail definitely will affect your surfing.
Folks, if you have just joined us online, we've got just under a minute left in the first of the semi-finals for the under-14 boys, and we've only got one man's name up on our screens, so we're as blind as you are right now. We don't know where Cara Benny sits in this heat and what his scores are, and so we will try and rectify the graphic up on the screen as soon as possible. I'm sure our producers are listening to us, so that's a fair hint.
Yeah, it's actually it's a technical fact that they are the only Danny Emsley so far is the only listed ranked WSL surfer in this heat, and that's why his information comes up. Whereas Bar, for instance, he hasn't surfed an event yet, or possibly in, and also Kyra, so they don't have any stats, and they're not in the system. So. Yeah, come tomorrow, finals day, we'll probably have all the information.
We can only hope as we see Cara Benny. I'm not sure if this wave will count. If his hands left the rails as the siren went, we could hear the beach commentators counting it down. So that could be pretty close. But it seemed to be a tale of two surfers in that heat. That man in blue and Daniel Emsley in red were super busy and active in the heat. We didn't see much of Bath Said in that.
Yeah, unfortunately, not too much fireworks from our surfer in white. But it sounds like the horn is going for the second semi-final. So we setting up a whole Sunday full of finals. So very exciting stuff.
Yeah, and of course, who could forget the Von Zipper Air Show as well? And we're seeing less and less of air shows these days.
Yeah, because they're all in the heats.
Yeah, this is true. And of course, we know that surfers who have been, unfortunate to have made a final and have come close tend to stick around. And it's always good to have sort of your top 10 most progressive surfers in an event that haven't made a final go into an air show. And always entertaining for your spectators on the beach. Winner takes all. So we look forward to that tomorrow as well. So there you can see your 3 surfers in semi-final number 2 now in the water.
Cool. I can definitely recognize 2 of them. In red is River Gericke. In blue is Luke Thompson. And in white, it is a local guy. I'm just not 100% on his name. I mean, we work through a really big field of surfers.
Yep.
We can't remember all of them.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that you didn't throw me under the bus and say, Jared, who's the man in white? Because I would have thrown out a completely made-up name. And, so just one more round to get through for the day's competition. And as we see our surfers get into position for this river paddling on this one, gets to his feet comfortably, and we'll get to work now with a cutback. And, maybe perhaps just finding the wax under his feet, warming up at the start of this heat. And thanks to our producers running to our aid here. Okay, so just results, I think, from the last heat. Daniel Emsley taking a narrow win over Kara Benny. So you called it, was a tale of 2 surfers in that last heat. Israeli surfer in white confirmed with 3rd place, and unfortunate to not make the final. Thanks so much, guys. So we move into semi-final number 2. And River, as we saw there, just catching his first ride of the heat.
Yeah, River Gericke is the brother of Aya Gericke, who we saw competing earlier. And there's also a sister, Tegita Gericke. So another clan of surfers from South Africa. They all hail from the Southern Cape, Vic Bay locals. Luke Thompson is from North Beach in Durban, from the 13th floor.
Yeah, that's right. And, I think for about the first 3 years of his competitive career, everyone called him Durban's John Florence because he just looked like John Florence. Here we go with Luke now in the blue. He's got a really cool style that he's starting to develop, a really aggressive approach on his surf, and I love that closeout turn of his. And, he's one of those kids, these young teenagers around about this 13, 14-year-old mark. This is where they tend to develop their styles over the next 2 years, and they go from perhaps awkward phases and sometimes lanky, and they just develop uber cool styles. As we watch our man in white, who we're still a little bit unsure as to who this is.
We'll get some information on shortly. He did hang on to that second turn, so he's got a score coming in. Well, Jared, I'll tell you, they're not just developing their styles, they're definitely developing their personalities as well. In this heat, Luke Thompson and River Gericke is definitely the 2 grams heckling me the most. So I think I'm going to shave their heads one of these days. And just peg them down a little bit.
Luke actually did get his head shaved about a year ago when he made the SA junior team, I think it was, and his mom, Dean Thompson, was absolutely devastated because he had these beautiful blonde locks, and in a matter of about 5 minutes, he went to looking like a preteen convict.
But yeah, they're definitely appreciating the banter and the actual acceptance of the older guys. They're great kids, man. I love every single one of them.
So, folks, a nice wide-angle shot there just to show you some tricky conditions as we get into the last few heats of the day's competition for Day 2 of the Billabong Pro Junior Series. Man, a contest that has been going for well over 2 decades.
21-year anniversary.
Yeah, I myself cut my teeth in commentating on this series, and when I used to do the J-Bay and sort of garden route events and Durban as well, and I've watched some incredible heats, and one that stands out to mind back in the day at North Beach, in fact it was held at New Pier next door to North Beach, was watching Ricky Basnet and Geordie Smith in the final of the Billabong Pro Junior there.
Oh, Ricky Basnetti.
Yeah, it was unbelievable,
and
man.
What's the other guy you mentioned?
Geordie Smith. No one really knows who he is, an up-and-coming surfer.
Oh, yeah.
But Geordie back then, I think he was about 16 years old, was boosting Supermans.
We see River up and riding now. It's going to make it around this section. Has got some scoring potential. Snaps it off the top. And just bangs it off the foam and comes undone. And Luke right behind him now. beautiful cutback, sets it up now for the finishing turn. Solid surfing, and once again that word has to come out again, mature.
Yeah, for sure. Nice exchange there between River and Luke in that last ride. And as we said, just more than 2 decades of this event, and heaps of massive names coming through the ranks from early stages and early on. And the likes of Royd and Bryson back in the day as well, Simon Nicholson too. It's just been incredible to see so many big names go on to achieve greater things thanks to the Billabong Pro Junior Series. And, of course, now seeing the likes of international surfers making their way out. We've had some Brazilians, a Japanese surfer, some of our Israelis and, fellow African surfers coming out.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, big ups to the Billabong team. Of course, Billabong Pro Junior presented by Boss RST. Huge thanks to Boss as well. Claire as well and her team coming up again.
Is that Kelly swimming there?
I think it's actually Ryan Janssens. I know Ryan and Kelly have been working together to get some water shots. I think it might actually be Ryan Janssens in the water.
Yeah, we talk about this contest series and how long it's been going. And, I mean, not just for the surfers, but it also creates, a livelihood for the officials and the commentators alike. So it's just a tightly knit, real family vibe. Every one of these Billabong events we go to, it's just we miss each other when we don't see each other,
Man, back in the day, I tell you what, we used to have repechage heats in this competition, and we had age groups going from under 10 all the way through to under 20. It was crazy. Man, we would have a 4-day event, and we would start at 7:30 in the morning at the break of dawn, really, as we watched this man in blue, Luke Thompson, on a smaller inside ride, just come unstuck on that last turn. But we would literally, even the J-Bay events, we'll pick that up shortly as we watch our man in white snap it off the top. And quick little check turn off the top there as he gets around the next section. So better looking wave for this young man.
I love the intensity in his face when he bottom turns. It's like,
super hungry.
Better watch out.
And, man, we would go all the way through to the last of the fading light in the early evenings, and we would do that for 4 days straight. We had one commentator. That was me back in the day. And it was, it was crazy. If I took a toilet break and went off, I'd have parents shouting at me as I ran back to the tower saying, we need scores. We don't know what's happening. We need the time. I'd say, guys, please help a brother out here.
Yeah, well, I'm very thankful for... Let's call you the trailblazer, because I've been doing this for quite a few years now as well. But I stepped into an absolutely professional environment. These events of just we even have 2 commentators.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, it's incredible, and I think that's just testimony to the professionalism that's been introduced to the sport of surfing over the last decade. Really, it's gone to a whole nother level. We see. Obviously the World Surf League pioneering some amazing technologies.
What an impressive show that is.
Yeah, the production behind it is just absolutely incredible. We see new technologies in the scoring systems and the use of digital technology coming into it. And it's a lot of people have really blazed some true, innovative paths in the professionalism of surfing. We thank, some of the big corporates that have funded, the professionalism and the technology behind, So, it's been incredible, Dutch. And, of course, you guys as well as shapers, you've, stranger to new technologies coming into your world.
Not at all, and we embrace it. We appreciate the old, and we know where we come from, but we definitely appreciate the newer technology, seeing that we can refine the equipment and just offer a better product for the surfers.
Sure. Having a little chat with Greg Saurus Swart. He's our site manager, really in charge of ensuring that, from a logistics point of view and the event runs smoothly. As we see Luke Thompson drop into this one. Quick in and out there, but, also a former world surfer, just part of that more core division back in the day and a well-known name. Probably now with the older crew, but I was having a chat with him, and he said back in the day he used to ride 6'2" boards, 6'4" boards. That was sort of his go-to sort of size, and now he's on a 5'8", and
boards are shrinking.
And he says he knows that he can feel he's doing things in parts of the wave that he's never done before, and he's at 50 years old, So
when I was 17 years old and competitive, I was surfing a 6'4".
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
But you are about 7'2", so anyway.
No.
There we go with our young man, River Gerriga. I've also got to come in. I'm also a Soti. I'm from Durban on the East Coast, so Afrikaans is about as strong as Scotties from Australia. So we see our boys having to do a bit of duck diving 101 there and really work their way through the cappuccino section, as Standby Stan Badger used to always call it. Hopefully he's watching somewhere in Norway.
Well, he can now. He can log in. I hope Stan's watching. Oh, we miss him dearly too.
Yep, lots of changes on the cards for Stan too, I've been told. And we see River just kind of sticking in on that mid-break section. They're looking for something on the inside. It's a small little left-hander that we see him going on his backhand for. A little pop backhand snap that he started this wave on, and just a whole lot of bouncing and popping, trying to find an inside connection. So, folks, unfortunately, we don't have scores for this heat or names for you for all three surfers out in the water. So just bear with us as we iron out the kinks and the little gremlins here and there.
There you go, Surfing White. He's up and riding. Just kicks out of that. You mentioned about Saurus, and this is my third year now doing the Ballito Pro, and I think the most notable thing for me after working the first event is just the absolute honor of working under Greg Swart. What an incredible legend.
Yeah, we have a plethora of absolute legends out here, Saurus being one of them. As we see Luke Thompson cutting back in front of our water photographer there. Nice oncoming section, which, uncharacteristically just pearling the nose of that board and coming unstuck. I think he'll be a bit frustrated with that one. Really was setting himself up for a decent-looking wave there and a good score potentially as well. But, there's lots of names in this. I was also having a chat with Colin Fitch. He judged his very first Gunston 500 about 34 years ago. In, I think it was about 1975 or 1976. Gracious. He was on the judging panel back then. And, of course, Colin Fitch heading up WSL Africa now. And
operations manager.
Yeah, he's been a part of this event for well over 3 decades now. In multiple different sort of levels of responsibility.
Yeah, there's a River up and riding again. Nice little closeout tag there. And there you go. He's hopping again.
Yeah, looking to maximize this wave, really. Hey, Dutchie.
Yeah, and he does, but can't stick the inside section.
So plenty of people that have been involved in this event for so many years. And, of course, also lots of new faces that have made this event such a success as well. And we look forward to the start of the 50th anniversary of the Ballito Pro kicking off on Monday. And looking to be a fantastic event. Of course, this year, no trials. We are slotting in our wild cards and our last remaining spaces thanks to the City Surf Series as well as the WSL wild card slots as well.
And, yeah, there's also 2 sponsors exemptions making their way in. So, full field.
And a 7-day window period starting from Monday running through to Sunday, the 1st of July. And, of course, the Pro Women's as well, the WSL Women's event running concurrently with the men's. So a full week of competition expected on the cards. And, we've got an update now. Thank you very much to our producers for helping us out here in this semi-final.
That's only Pro Junior men. This is under 14s.
So, folks,
of course, once the final buzzer hoots and the last drop of champagne hits the floor, these guys will be heading off to Jeffreys Bay. Literally back-to-back events and the start of the Corona J-Bay Open.
Yeah, and of course, we've also had an amazing surprise for those of you who are logging in nice and early in this event and preparing yourself for a week of competition. We've got none other than the stalwart of South African surfing, Sean Thompson, who will be joining us down at the beach for a couple of guest shifts in the commentary booth, both in web and on beach. And, of course, Sean, the most successful surfer in the history of this competition, a 6-time winner, back-to-back.
Do you want to see my representation of my first heat? I'm going to commentate with Sean.
Mouth wide open. And I have had the privilege of commentating with Sean a few years back at this event when it first moved to Ballito. He's an incredible wealth of knowledge, and of course he'll by the time he leaves South African shores to go back home to America, he would have spent a month going from coast to coast, and part of his positive wave tour as well, talking about his book and just impacting the lives of children both in underprivileged communities, as well as talking to the likes of sportsmen and women, right through to the professional levels of the Sharks rugby team. So he's just been incredibly busy giving back all that he's learned, the ups and downs, both in his personal life as well, the loss of his beautiful son Matthew. It's been fantastic. We look forward to it. South Africa's only world champ in surfing that we've had, as we watch Luke Thompson. Second big turn, really drives the tail out, and we just saw his back foot coming unstuck from the grip pad. But, man, we really are so privileged to have Sean here for the 50th anniversary. He's, kind of been dropping in teasers for the last couple of months. And
his aura really shines, and, I mean, he's doing a full tour out here. So definitely don't miss any of the action with Sean. It's like we say, it's an absolute opportunity to rub shoulders with a legend here. He's going to be doing cook-offs, commentary, this and that, and, can't wait.
Yeah, fantastic. And, of course, so a really busy week ahead of those involved with Ballito Pro. And then, if we do finish on the last day, on Sunday the 1st, as you said, Dutchy guys will be scrambling to get off to King Shark Airport and hop on a plane straight down to Port Elizabeth, and then a 45-minute drive down to Jeffreys Bay for the start of the WSL, the Corona Open, down in Jeffreys Bay on Monday the 2nd of July. And straight into another, 12-day window period for that event.
Yeah, it's been extended, seeing that we're pulling the ladies in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I neglected to mention that. And it's an incredible time of surfing on South African shores. It's been another amazing year with the City Surf Series and a bump of WSL events, as we see our man in blue deciding to go left and kicking the board out, looking for a sort of backside reverse there for Luke Thompson. Just a bit of a flyaway air, though. And, it's a crazy busy 6 months, really, for the WSL Africa team. Yeah. But what a platform for the likes of Matt McGillivray to really kickstart his
and he's
QS
using
campaign.
His opportunity. He is surfing on a completely another level all of a sudden.
Yeah, winning an event, making a final of another. He's really just been blowing up, right?
And if anyone had asked me a month ago, what are you looking forward to the most in July? And I would have to say it is gonna have to see the most beautiful surfer, Stephanie Gilmore, on the most beautiful wave.
Yeah, man, I've got to be honest with you. I think it's about time that we've had the world's best woman competing in Jeffreys Bay along Super Tubes. And I think I'm really looking forward to watching the likes of Steph Gilmore, as you say.
Oh, the queen.
She's just the real style master and always ever-go-lucky, happy, smiley surfer. And she's just, it's going to be great to watch them down there,
wait.
you know?
Oh, yeah, Steph's Nessie.
As we watch River Gericka on this one, well, real sort of froth monster there. Doesn't get much of an open canvas to do anything. And, folks, if you are watching online, we're as lost as you are. We don't have any scores or situations in our commentary booth. We're actually right behind the event site. We don't even have sort of a live view or window view onto the sea, so we see what you see. And we're still sort of ironing out a few little kinks here and there.
But we flow like water. We're making this happen.
And our production team have tried to help out by giving us some results at the end of the heat. So we'll find out what's happening here. But this man, Luke Thompson, has stayed incredibly busy along with the likes of River Gericka in the red singlet. So those two guys have really been going toe-to-toe in this heat. And we move into the under-16 girls round 2 up next. And should be an exciting 2 heats to wrap up the day's competition. Here we go with Luke Thompson. Little slash back there, looking to maximize this wave. But you can see his body language, just a little bit of frustration really starting to creep through in his body language. There's the next heat making their way into the lineup.
What I really like about Luke's approach as well, where every heat I watch him surf, is just the absolute busyness that they show. You know, they just don't stop working. You know, you don't sit out there, you can't score if you just sit. You got to keep moving, you got to keep catching waves, and you got to keep those opportunities rolling, because who knows, you can luck into your best wave of the heat under priority off a different bank or something. And here he goes again. We just saw him 10 seconds ago. So
yeah, well, Dutchy, you know, we were chatting a little bit earlier off mic and with the other fellow commentator, Kai Linder, just about the biology of some of these surfers and just the incredible fitness levels, especially these young guys as well, and just how many calories they burn in a day surfing so much, and and the high work rate.
Touch on that subject. We actually Mikey February, our second now World Tour surfer, we have actually been having discussions with him and his dad Isaac February in Cape Town, and he was actually saying how Mikey wasn't actually the amount of fitness that is required to be on the World Tour is staggering. If you surf, let's say, a full finals day of a World Tour event, you're looking at 3 to 4 heats, and it is surfing has to be one of the physically most demanding heats in the world.
100% Dutchie, spot on. And we're just going to interject there for a minute. That last heat wrapping up as we saw Luke Thompson walking up the beach. Dutchie, it's been amazing to have you alongside your first time in the booth. Thank you very much for helping us.
We'll be back here tomorrow. I'm going to head off and go do the last bit of the beach duties, and I hand over to Scotty.
Right, thank you, Dutchie. So into the girls division, the under-16 girls, round number 2. If I'm not mistaken, this is also semi-finals for the under-16 girls. And we'll try and get some names up on our screen to introduce the young ladies to you. The last of our heats of the day. Scotty, welcome back into the booth. A well-deserved lunch break there for you, man. I know you just arrived in South African shores. Happy to have you back once again. Number of years you've been coming out. Started off on jet ski water patrol for the WSL. And I know you've spent a heap of time in the commentary booth, so it's great to have you back, pal.
Thanks for that little introduction. I actually sound cooler than I am.
You often look a lot cooler than you are too, you know.
Yeah, so great to be back, folks. I did just get a well-earned break. It was actually cool just to check it out on the beach. So if you can't get down here, hopefully you are watching on the web, but if you can, well, you'd be mad not to get down to the beach here. It's a fantastic day. I just try and... We've got a few challenges, I think you guys mentioned before, with our online scoring system, because the reason behind that, Jared, is these guys, or these girls, I should say, are not WSL athletes, and so their names need to be in the system for us to be able to pull it up on the system. So fairly good chance people watching at home are actually getting the scores and updates if they are watching on the app. Something we need to try and tap into ourselves. So bear with us, folks. We'll see what we can't do to navigate that as we move into the women's here.
Yeah, it's we've been kind of chatting about it over the last 4 hours or so, just these tricky conditions, and as you can see, a nice wide shot there, folks. Plenty of white horses out there towards the top of your screen. This northeasterly onshore wind just been puffing since around about 10 o'clock this morning and really steadily building and making these conditions super tricky, especially for some of the more younger, inexperienced surfers. And Kelly Sestari, of course, WSL main man photographer. You can see his head bobbing up and down there in the water, getting a couple of great water shots, no doubt.
How good's his job?
Oh, man.
I had a chat to him last night over dinner about the wave pool and how he loved just sitting there in the wave pool. He could actually just stand up and shoot as opposed to have to swim around and get his legs all tired.
Yeah, he was saying how, if you wanted a barrel shot, you would go to like pillar 48. And then he was saying, if he wanted sort of a boost shot in airs, he would go to pillar 62 if it was, He said there was just all these markers. He said it was the easiest event to shoot ever.
So he's going to be looking to get some gold out there. Just watching the girls. Another three-lady heat here. Blonde hair. I'd love to see the stats. We do a lot of comparisons between goofy and natural. I'd love to see blonde hair versus brunettes, red hair.
Yeah,
wonder how much that impacts on the surfing.
Definitely think blondes outnumber everyone out there.
Greater prevalence
man, right?
of the blondes, yeah. But I mean, that comes with a lot of the sun too.
What about the baldies like Kelly?
Oh, well, luckily we've got none of them in the
like a wild card, right?
Women's division. Steep little takeoff there. Can she maintain that speed? Cannot. As I just try and find...
Yeah, folks, we're both just in the booth having a look at our WSL apps, and it seems like we've only got the Pro Junior divisions up here in the men's and the women's, the under-20s for the boys and under-20s for the ladies. So we're just trying to allocate or just determine who the under-16 girls are in this heat. And, of course, running parallel with the WSL event down in Port Elizabeth as well. So just a 2-hour flight or 1.5-hour flight from the East Coast where we were based in Ballito. And they've got the SA Open of Surfing happening down there, and tomorrow being the final day. A lot of surfers will be traveling up overnight tomorrow night to get here in time for the start of the WSL 10,000 Ballito Pro, kicking off on Monday.
Yeah, so again, folks, just bear with us. I'm just checking out our 2018 Billabong Junior Series Ballito live, and it's actually still showing that the boys are out surfing, and I can tell you these are definitely not the boys. But what's important is the guys in the tent there are going to find a result, and the girls are being given their numbers and scores and requirements out in the water. So bear with us as we do just talk at these ladies and their colours as opposed to their names. Very impersonal. We apologise for that. These athletes do. We are just working through that as we try and give you the best coverage we can. But as you mentioned, Jared, we do have coverage across a range of divisions and a couple of events running parallel in the country at the moment. So,
and of course, folks, tomorrow is day 3 of the 21st edition of this Billabong Pro Junior Series presented by Boss RST, and day 3 being the finals day. We've got a couple of semi-finals to run through and a few man-on-man quarterfinals as well, and we should be wrapping up around about between 2 and 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon with the Pro Junior finals of the women's and the men's divisions. And, of course, 21 years of Billabong Pro Junior surfing. So a huge thanks to Chad Darcy and his team. Of course, there have been many people working for Billabong over the years that have been so invested in Pro Junior surfing. I remember the likes of Sean Holmes as well, an employee of Billabong back in the day. As we watch a young lady in red, the goofy foot, go to town off the top there, but just unable to get back down the face of that wave. But I know Sean Thompson used to give back plenty of time in the Sean Holmes, I beg your pardon, and worked with him back in the late 90s, and he would still then go and surf the trials of the CT event. And of course, who could forget some of the stellar performances he had down at J-Bay at the Super Tubes against the likes of Andy Irons. Became Andy Irons' little bugbear
nemesis,
wild card that he used to face.
God, I remember Sean when he came out to Australia and did the Billabong Junior Series out there back in, I'm going back here, was it maybe 1999, maybe even 96, a little bit earlier, back in the days when he was first travelling and sort of taking the world by storm and coming out there even as a young guy. And he's such a smooth surfer. Made it through all the Billabong videos, alley-oop.
Yeah. That was when we still used to buy
VHS.
surfing VHS tapes, and Sean sort of came back, and the Billabong Junior Series got underway. I think it was in 1997, and we sort of toured the country, and I was having a chat with Dutchie. I cut my teeth on that's where I learned to commentate on my own, and it was back in the day where we had 4-day events, and we had repechage heats, and we had divisions in all the boys and girls from sort of under 10 all the way through, and we had one commentator, and we had all manual scoring, and it was just, man, it was crazy busy, long days. We'd sit out in the cold, we didn't have setups like we have now, you'd sit under a little pop-up gazebo on the beach in the rainy conditions in winter, and it was a busy time. But we saw the likes of Ricky Basnett, Geordie Smith, Davey Weir, Royden Bryson, just an incredible amount of South African talent coming through the junior ranks, and that would, of course, go on to some bigger and better things on the world stage. So this series, this junior series, has an incredible amount of history to it, and incredible amount of development and progress over the last few years as we've seen technology and new tech coming to the world of professional surfing as well.
Yeah, spot on, and you can see it transferring. It's funny about all this back-end stuff that you talk about, but it's just you can see it transferring back to the athletes and how professional they are, and it allows them to prepare a lot more and be more professional in their approach. It's great, for these young guys and girls to be treated like they are professional athletes themselves and be able to hang around the competition area. I saw a couple of young guys getting massages on site there and getting adjustments, and thought to myself, you're that malleable with your muscles that I don't know if you know what a knot is. But that said, they were going pretty fast and turning pretty hard. So
for sure. So still plenty of action while we bend your ears a little bit if you're watching online. There's loads and loads of waves being ridden by these three young ladies. Top two will be advancing through to the final to be surfed tomorrow. We can hear our beach commentators giving them plenty of announcements in their priority situations and their scores as well. So we'll do our best, folks, to try and give you an update at some point.
Yeah, and again, our apologies, folks. We do have a very big field here across all of our junior divisions. What makes it even harder is that a lot of the juniors in these under-14 divisions are surfing, and also the Opens and also the junior women's and the under-16. So they'll surf across a lot of divisions. So it's a real challenge getting to know them all. So we'll just continuing to talk at the colours there. Surfer in red, nice little wave locked in for her last one. A lot of backhand surfers I'm noticing too, Jared. A lot of, when I say backhand, they are goofy footers, of course, not always on the backhand. Some goofy footers. But it doesn't seem to be much of an issue out here on the right-handers of Ballito. They seem to be able to actually come around the backhand and square up maybe a lot nicer and easier perhaps than the people on the guys on the forehand.
Well, the east coast of South Africa, known as being the land of the rights, all the way sort of from the Garden Route up to Jeffreys Bay, Port Elizabeth, East London, just right-hand point breaks all the way up the coast. Of course, we get the predominant, sort of southerly swell coming in from the Atlantic Ocean going up the coast. And, most of the goofy footers, they develop these strong backhand attacks because that's all they ever surf for these right-handers. And then, of course, you go up the west coast of South Africa and we have the likes of that incredible wave at Donkey Bay there in Namibia. I've seen some incredible footage lately over the last couple of weeks of Koa Smith, I think it is.
He got it last year too.
Oh, man,
it's not
crazy.
Fair.
And a whole bunch of South Africans also traveling with him as well. And it's the most next level wave, right?
It is. That's the cold side, of course, as we head up the other side of KwaZulu-Natal. You've got sort of Mozambique there and some more right-handers. I've seen Geordie in a lot of his movies doing a lot of filming up that way. We see Surfer in red again. She sets that inside rail, that heel side rail, really well. Doesn't have to open her shoulders up too much. So that board looking really good underfoot for the Surfer in red.
And Scotty, you've had your eye on Mozambique as well. And I just saw something crazy surfing over the last, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, with Grant Twiggy Baker as well heading up there and absolutely scoring Mozambique a couple of spots up there. Our lady in blue now gets a nice little reconnection through to the inside, does an attempt on her backhand, just unable to ride it out into the whitewater. But, just completely polar opposites. Mozambique's this beautiful sort of incredible long beach break right-hander sort of point that is board shorts and nothing else. And then you go on the complete opposite side of the country and it's just 5-4 mil sort of wetsuits in Namibia and these long-running heavy left-handers. And we see heaps of Cape Town guys always going up to Namibia, and obviously the Durban guys heading up to Mozambique.
Grass is always greener on the other side, huh? You head up or down the coast, and that's what we do as surfers, I suppose. Go hunting, and hunting is Surfer in red here. Squares this one up. Oh. Lovely little hook there on her backhand. I like how quickly she got onto those inside fins and projected straight up into the lineup there. It looks like she's riding one of those Spider Murphy boards. I rode one of those a couple of years ago until I snapped it. I was quite devastated by that. They go really well underfoot. Of course, a local shaper here in South Africa, Durban. Yeah,
of course. Spider Murphy actually under the watchful eye of Graham Hines, who started Safari Surfboards back in the 60s. And they were well known and put on the map for shaping Sean Thompson the pink banana board that he used in Pipeline to go on and win at Pipeline back in the 70s. And they were just sort of entrenched with the Thompsons, Michael and Sean Thompson, and they were down in Somsey Road in Durban. safari surfboards. Sort of, really gave Sparta Murphy just this incredible base and to learn with some of the best surfers of South Africa back in the 60s and the 70s. So Sparta is now really just a household name in South Africa, and has shaped many a pro before. Travis Logie used to be one of his riders as well. So heaps of really good surfers coming through the ranks. And Sparta, I think, also goes and spends some time down in Jeffreys Bay, shaping a couple of boards for some of the travelling pros that come out for the WSL events.
Yeah, some great little insights there, Jared. Not bad for a man who lives in Dubai. As we see, surfer in white, Layla Stetler, I think is how you say her last name, just got sent a little update of who we got in this heat here. Not a whole lot to her name, only a couple of throwaways. Is the surfer from South Africa. But this here is Zoe Stain. We've seen her earlier today in the Open Women's Division, just doing that sort of stuff. And she's currently leading this heat, keeping really busy. She's got a 2.5 and a 4 to her name. So she's out in front, the young surfer in the red Zoe. I was going to have a guess and say that looks like Zoe, but as I said, really hard. She was surfing in the Open Junior Women's Division. Now she's here in the Under 16s Division. And surfing blue, we've got Kayla Naguera, who's also surfing the Open Women. So she's currently in second place at the moment at Surfer in Blue.
Yeah, Dutchie was actually giving us a ton of inside information over Zoe Stain and saying just how incredibly naturally talented she is. And she's under the watchful coaching eye of Greg Emsley. So Greg has kind of been guiding her and sort of shaping her competitive career. And, of course, the girls as much energy, if not more, as some of the boys, just surfing back-to-back age divisions, getting in as much competitive experience as possible. And Zoe Stain, she's had an incredible run of results as well over the last couple of months in the City Surf Series 2. So all eyes on her. And Dutchie seems to think that she's Rosie Stain's doppelganger.
Rosie Hodge?
That's also
Rosie
known
Hodge.
as Rosie Hodge.
Gotcha. Yeah, she's got the blonde hair from the East London region. She's got Rosie, one of the friendliest people you'll meet. I mean, you know that. You've worked with Rosie before a fair bit, Jared, and she one of the friendliest people, but she's also got that mongrel in her when she's out in the water, and that white line fever when she crosses the sand out into the water. And we saw earlier on Zoe the same sort of thing. I think it was like 2 minutes into the heat, she was like, paddle battle. She was like kicking and splashing and scraping to get that priority position. So really focused. It seems though Zoe Stain, and keeping busy too. That's what she did earlier on today, and looks like she's doing the same now.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure if it's an East London thing or just a Grom thing, but Rosie, of course, an amazing person, and great to see her. Obviously so entrenched in the WSL. They've got a great commentary team going, and amazing amount of chemistry behind all those kind of that crew, and I think they just do an amazing job. But yeah, so Zoe Stain, young up and coming junior female surfer in the South African ranks, and Kayla Naguera as well, no stranger to competition. Her parents just incredibly supportive as well. She comes from a great sort of foundational phase of competitive surfing. As we watch Zoe just getting caught by that lip.
I love her swooping style though. She's really got this backhand swoop really kind of dialed in.
She has a great ability to get that board incredibly vertical, super fast as well, I mean, on that wave, unsuccessful to actually pull it off and land it, but previously she got a great looking ride. It was only one backhand Rio, but she did it so fast, and she brought it back around again, and really great backhand style for the young goofy footer. Taylor in the white, if I'm honest with you, I don't have a lot of information about Taylor. I know she is sort of new to the competitor scene. I beg your pardon, Layla. And she's been a little bit quieter in this heat. We've seen the most amount of work coming from Zoe Stain in the red. Kayla Naguera now starting to just distance herself a little bit, perhaps paddling wide, looking for some of those wider sets that open up a little bit more. As you can see, folks, still plenty of swell pulsing through at Surfers Lane, just being feathered by that northeasterly onshore wind. We see the girls having to do a bit of duck diving 101 to get under that bigger set. Relatively unscathed. You see Kayla Naguera in the blue in position as she turns, has a long look at this. She's going to commit to it on her backhand, the young goofy footer. That was great commitment straight off the top. I love the compression. getting that body down and sticking that. We can even hear people on the beach, a lot of appreciation for that wave.
Yeah, that was critical, that one. I was a little worried. She was a little lax and too relaxed in terms of her paddling there. She only put a couple in, so didn't quite get the projection with the wave and got held up on that takeoff. And then actually worked in her favour in terms of she got in there late and was able to sweep around and really hook under that thing. So expect that to be a really good score for Kayla Nguera. Potentially challenging Zoe in that first position. So that'll leave Layla Stetler with a fair bit of work to do in that third place position now. That'll be a really good score. That was critical, that one. So we see that heat leader now. Zoe staying up and riding here again, that swooping. She's looking down the line. She's eyeing off something here with a little mid-face foam climb, kickstall jam.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out as intended for Zoe. She heads back into the lineup. We see our surfers in the last heat of the day, semi-final number 2, make their way into the lineup. So giving us an indication that we're into the last 5 minutes of the semi-final. Quite possibly only about 2 minutes remaining, as we see now Kayla Nguera loads the speed onto her forehand and looking to sweep back onto that outside rail. We hear that beach commentator is actually counting down now and the siren going. So that last rider, Kayla Nguera, will cement the deal in that semi-final number 1 for the under-16 girls. Heat number 2 up next.
Yeah, so again, the story, congratulations to the surfer in white and red. They'll advance through to our... Sorry, blue and red on this occasion. Thanks, Jared. Yeah, advancing through to our final, which we'll have tomorrow. Surfer in white, unfortunately, bowing out in that one. Again, the story is just finding those waves with a little shoulder on it. I'll give you the ones that offer the most scoring opportunity.
Right, and we hear the siren go off on the beach now to signal the start of semi-final number 2 in the under-16 girls, the last heat of the day.
All right, so the last semi-final, last heat of today for the juniors. We've got in the red, Gabby Lalva. I apologise. I'm going to have Kai Linda. You have to jump into the booth and help me out with this one. Levo. It's got that kind of French.
It is definitely a little French.
Gabby Levo, Kira Knight, and Jessie Powell in the white to have a go at this one. Interestingly, you can see the girls starting off at the top of the beach there, around that sort of rock groin, whilst most of the girls had moved down the beach a little bit more. So let's see how this one plays out. We've got Jessie Powell. She's going to kick off her campaign really quickly. Nice jam in the pocket there. Great little start, keeping busy.
That was a tasty little turn right there. Got it nice and tight in the pocket. And we've seen a couple of slow starts in these heats. I was keeping an eye on the last one. So good to always get off that mark nice and fast. And watching a big paddle on the outside. This is looking like a good-looking wave. Gabby is going to be in the pocket. Gets into it. We saw a little earlier in the Pro Juniors. Oh, and hits the eject button going off the back. And she'll have wanted a little more from that opener. Watching blue now. Kira also saw her in the Pro Juniors. She's not going to go for that one. And it is a bit tricky out there now, Scotty. I mean, the tide is starting to drain out. You're getting those big warbles. You can see the water at the bottom of screen there, just like sucking across that little rock shelf. So a lot of movement. And here goes Kira. Oh, I like that little hook off the backside.
She set that up really well, didn't she? Nice big sweeping hook. You know what else is impressing me? Obviously the surfing is the main thing that's been really catching our eye today. But the sprays these grommies have on their boards are so sick these days.
No one wants a boring whiteboard, let's be honest.
Big shout out to all of you out there watching with white boring boards.
Salt down the river. Yeah, I don't know. I've always been of the opinion that a good spray job is just something that'll attract the eye a little bit more, so the judges maybe will notice it a little bit more. And, I look at Mick, I look at Geordie, Julian. You pretty much never see those guys with whiteboards. I know Kelly does the whiteboards. He's never really been a spray guy, except when he had that little weird phase in the late 90s with the girls on his board.
Yes. Yeah, but the thing with the judges is they're kind of devoid of any real humanity, aren't they? So I don't quite subscribe to that, them liking anything, to be honest. They just know what they're looking for in terms of surfing, and that's about it. I reckon it's got to do with confidence. If you're looking down and you've got this ripping sort of spray, you're feeling pretty good about yourself, so you go into it, and it's a confident sport. So if you're heading off down the line and you're looking good, then you're gonna surf good, hopefully.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe more the judges, like their animal instincts would kick in, like a fish on a lure.
Okay.
Maybe like, oh, look at that bright yellow. It's so tasty.
Kira Knight just taking off. She's sticking to the left-handers there, keeping busy, which I like. It's a good strategy.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to see surfers sitting around waiting for waves too long, especially in these conditions. A different story if it's like perfectly groomed, beautiful waves rolling down a point. But in this beach break, you want to kind of... Well, in the last heat and the previous heat, I saw a couple of rides where I was going, oh, they're going for this one. And then it turned into a good score because the wave doubled up on the inside and they got the turns.
You can't get the score if you're not on the wave. We know that much. I reckon we should reward an extra point. Given these guys are grommies or lighties and they catch so many waves, it's part of their DNA. We should give them an extra point for the surfer who gets the least amount of waves in the heat, I reckon. Not sure if
it's an interesting strategy. It definitely is an interesting strategy.
It's got to be hard for them, right? They want to paddle for everything that moves. It's how they're made up.
Having come from the beach commentary as well, I can tell you that the biggest mission with the lighties is them paddling into the previous heat and not sitting wide. Right. And the poor priority judge, Sandile, is literally pulling his hair up. Not that he has much, but he's pulling his imaginary hair out because they just steam. They're so excited to be like going into a heat. They just steam straight into the lineup, and suddenly there's two of every color. And you got to keep reminding them on the beach, just sit wide, guys, please. We'll give you time to paddle into the area. So a little short ride for the surfer in white there. Not too much happening. Yeah, not too much happening in this heat yet. You can see Gabby is now clearly with priority, and she's sitting on the outside. She's going to wait now for one of those set waves and try to get a decent score in, Scotty.
Not a big difference in the takeoff area, like in terms of how far past backline the girls are. We haven't seen too many competitors miss waves today. They've been able to get enough scoring opportunities, and it isn't that perfect out there, but it is the kind of conditions that we all get exposed to, and if they want to be the best, I think it's a big argument on the Samsung Galaxy, the Corona Championship Tour is that they only want perfect waves, but if you really want to find the best world champion, you need to find someone who can surf in all the conditions. So I reckon the Rio argument not being a great quality venue is one that it's a valid spot. But then we saw this year Rio actually turn it on and give some cranking waves.
She's doing really good waves. Wow. I like that right-hander they moved to halfway through the event. That thing looked crazy.
Absolutely. So we just see a little set wave just capping out the back. The wind just hasn't quite known what it's doing today. It's kind of blowing onshore, but you can see some offshore in it as well. It's just kind of been really variable and swirling around a lot today. But what I like is there's waves, Kai. We haven't had surfers missing out on opportunities, but they've just got to really work really hard to find these little double up, these little nuggets and things that actually turn into scoring rides.
Yeah, and also this is where it all starts. You got to keep an eye on junior surfing. These are the kids that are going to develop into those future stars. This is under 16 girls. One of these girls could, for all intents and purposes, 3-4 years' time, we could be seeing them on the QS properly and even competing for the CT.
It's a good discussion, an interesting point. You say that 16-year-olds, they could be on there soon. We've got Caroline Marks, who is 16 at the moment and on that championship tour. Now, that doesn't mean that these girls are behind the 8 ball, as we see Jessie Powell getting caught behind there. Doesn't mean these girls, because they aren't, already on there, that they're not going to qualify. We do see guys wait, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think Glenn Hall took 10 years on the QS before he qualified for that championship tour.
We're talking about Panda too, and now he's killing it on the CT.
Yeah, got a second last year, William Cardoso. And it's interesting, it's always sort of here at Ballito, which is a launching pad for a lot of those guys to make that qualification. I spoke to William last year after that second, and he said that his friends and a fair few of their family actually took mortgages on their home and gave all their savings to him so he could have one last crack at qualifying.
That's incredible.
And you think there's 500 guys on that QS and 200 or so girls or women. and to have a family put that much into it, that's a real risk, you know. It's obviously paying dividends, taking out a win, which is so sick to see.
Yeah, he's had a cracker start to there, that's for sure. Here's Kira up and riding, and she's been sticking to the backhand out there, and it's paying dividends. Those were two nice, quick little hooks in the pocket before the wave faded out, and I'm pretty sure she's going to be sitting out in front in the seat.
Yeah, I like that little slide on that second one. That was sick. She obviously did the first one and thought, okay, I'm going to do a similar manoeuvre. I need that variety. Let's put a bit more into it and cook it a bit more, and got a little slashing slide with those fins, keeping the control, which was awesome.
You can see there from that wide shot, she's pretty far down the beach. So that was a good wave that she, like you said, she went a little bit wider down the beach and picked it up probably under priority. As you see, Gab sitting right up top, up against the rock now. So that was a long ride, and I think she's going to get a decent score, probably go into the lead.
I'm going to chuck a theory out there, Kai. Gabby and Kira surfed earlier on today. As we just pick up on Gabby now. Nice little hook. Is this thing going to stand up for a second turn? She's sticking with it, and it doesn't. So back to that point. I wonder if Gabby surfed earlier on, I think 5 or 6 heats ago. So we're looking at an hour and a half ago. The bank out there would have changed incredibly since then. So I wonder if she's still got in her mindset. I know I've done it many times surfing when you go out for session number 2. The bank's changed so much, and you're still waiting for that wave that you saw in sort of session number 1. So I wonder if, you know, maybe Surfing Blue, Kira Knight's just a little freed up by getting down the bank there.
Well, she's certainly sitting. You can see her now right in the middle of shot there. So she's not sitting up top where Jessie's sitting. And, yeah, Gabs is pretty local. She lives literally about 15 minutes down the drag. So she does surf here a lot. And I was just down on my heat off on the grass bank. I call it the parental bank because that's where all the folks are sitting supporting their kids. And her stepdad was just saying they had a quick chat, you know, about what she needs to do to go out there. What I like about Gabs, though, is she really loves like surfing contests and that, but she is very chilled about it as well. She's like, if she loses, she's not one of those kids who's going to go stomp off and have a little hissy fit and have a cry or anything like that. She's got a big smile on her face, and she's like, yeah, I'm having a good time. I'm here with my friends. It's all good. Which
is a great approach to have. You can't be taking yourselves too seriously at this age. But at the same time, contrasting that idea is you've also got to learn how to lose too, which is a tough one. So you really do have to try and learn from those mistakes. As we see a great swooping setup from Kira Knight there, not able to get up and ride through that one. Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Like, you know, parents generally want the best for their kids, and you know, there's a lot of coaching, as you said, from the parents as well. How much do you want your kid to do it for the sake of having fun and enjoying it, or how much do you say, well, that's actually for your free surfs? This is actually, let's approach it with a bit more focus and a bit more determination and analysis. So
yeah, it's interesting.
You've got some of the surfers, you know, who are blessed with that natural talent, who can probably go into their heats with that easy thinking mindset, whereas others who maybe don't have that natural talent, we go back to that Glenn Hawley, probably happy to say he fits into that category where he had to work hard a lot more.
Yeah, now paying dividends for him on the coaching side, though, because he learnt those hard lessons, and he can really, you know, give that across now to the proteges. And I mean, just look at the surfers that are on his team, so to speak. You know, he is helping create world champions. I mean, and you know, he never was going to do it himself. Here goes Gabby, though. Oh, nice little hook off the top there. I like the deep bottom turn there too. And she hits the eject. And yeah, you know, like Glenn, he had to really work at it, and he got to that top level. He achieved his goals, and now he's helping create new world champions with those experiences.
What's funny, I remember Glenn was one of the top juniors with, you know, Sean Cansdell, who sort of qualified maybe 6, 7, 8 years before him, beat Durbidge. He had a lot of those guys from that era, and he, you know, he never quite made it. But just stuck with it. And as you said, like now it's kind of, he's learnt so much from those years of being unsuccessful that it's really paying dividends to those top guys, and he's highly sought after, you know, in that coaching scene. And, you know, I think back, coaching probably wasn't even a thing 10 years ago when he was around. It was kind of just, you know, the parents playing that role and stray commentators giving you advice from here and there.
Yeah, well, nowadays, I mean, we look at these juniors in the water, all of them pretty much have a coach. Like, I know Quinton Jones, Llewellyn Whitaker, Chris Bond, or like some of the top South African coaches, you know, Etienne from J-Bay. And I think the parents these days are happy to kind of relinquish that responsibility in a way, because otherwise it gets really intense because you're always traveling with your kid to the contests and stuff. And the coaches are kind of just really coming into their own now, and they've obviously got a huge influence on the sport because that's where the new talent's coming from.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I remember down at Bell's, I was fortunate enough to have Bianca Butendag over to our place for dinner one night with her mum, Yvette, and sort of we were having the same discussion. She had Matthias sort of coaching her, and her mum said how great it was to be able to be freed up and just be a mum. As we see speed to burn here on her backhand, Kira, lovely little combo. Can she finish this off? 2 turns, lots of speed, good flow. That was another nice wave. So she's had 2 great turns. That board looks great underfoot, not just from the colours, but actually looking really well. So enjoying watching Kira Knight surfing there. As we check up the beach, surfing red.
Yeah, Gabs, a nice little hook in the pocket. Now finds the little inside bowl, and it's just going to go rolling over her. It's got to be said, Kira is on fire here. That was a really good wave. And I'm most impressed with her level jump in the last few months. She's really starting to push her limits as far as explosive surfing goes.
6.50, sorry to jump in there. I just heard from the beach announcer, so that's probably one of our highest scores of the day. So some great lineup, a good little pickup wave there.
And I bumped into her and her old man after her first heat this morning, and I actually said to her, I was like, "Wow, your surfing's really been impressing me the last 2 events. Like, I can really see you sort of like are starting to push that limit of where your turns go and stuff." And she's pretty shy. She was just like, "Thanks, Kai. That's really nice of you." And she was probably going, "Oh, the old commentator."
They say those who can't do commentate or coach. Let's see, Surfer and White been really quiet. Jessie Powell, and just not able to complete that one. So not having as successful a heat as Jessie Powell. She'll get out there. Still a bit of time to reset. Down the beach, Gabby again trying to get busy. I've seen a lot of the girls in this heat have paddled for a lot of waves, but unsuccessfully caught them. But this priority thing doesn't seem to be too much of an issue out here, Kai, because it's really just trying to find a wave that does what you're after. But yeah, really impressive surfing. Kira Knight, again, she can see her heading to the right of screen there. She obviously picked one up towards the rocks there, had a lot of run on it, so she's going to keep looking for another one of those just to improve on her first place position.
Yeah, and it's not a big paddle today. Interesting enough, earlier on beach, we were told to make the paddle out only 3 minutes because the under 12s kept doing what I spoke about earlier and going straight into the previous heat. And here goes Kira again, so keeping really busy in this heat. Now comes off the bottom, lovely little hook off the top, releasing the fins a bit there, and she's getting pretty expressive out there now.
Yeah, she most certainly is. That wave looked much better. That top end for mine, if we did have another heat today, I'd be send people up that top end. It just looks a little smoother, maybe a little less water off that bank there. It's a little more vertical, and that doesn't seem to be running away from the girls as much as down the beach is.
Yeah, that's a good call. And I mean, I surfed at a pretty similar stage yesterday afternoon, maybe a little bit later, and there were peaks down the beach, but if you sat and were patient up against the rock, you got those ones that just kind of curve in off the double up from bathers, and those are the ones that run down the bank. So you've got to be a bit more patient. They're not the common waves. They're the bigger ones, the ones that come with a little bit more juice in them. But if you're willing to wait, you'll find those waves.
Yeah, great to see lots of opportunities for the girls too out here. You'd hate to think that the Mother Nature would be deciding, but it's great to see them all finding them. As I just check Gabby, just moving up to where Kira's sitting, obviously recognising there are the quality waves up there. We'll check out if Jessie Powell will do the same. Jessie really unable to find anything of any great quality so far this heat. Probably got around 5 or so minutes to go on this one, Kai, so we'll check out whether she can find something in these 5 or so minutes.
All right, Kira having a look at this one, but she's going to pull through because Gabs is further down the line. And she goes for a nice big hit off the top. And just again getting caught by that wash on the exit. You see it hits that little hole off that one rock that sits in the middle of the lineup. And that's a pity because that was looking like a really good turn. She really gave it a go, went for the big crack off the lip. And I thought she was going to come out of it and then just hit that little dead spot and kind of faded out on her. But I think she's comfortably in second place here. Kira definitely in the lead. And like you said, Jessie just seems to She seems to have had the wrong wave choice, really. It hasn't really been happening for her. So she needs to find one of those nice little runners. Kira's managed to find 2 of them now.
Well, she's gone up and taken Kira's spot, given the 2 surfers, red and blue, went and took those. So Jessie will have first priority. She's recognised that now, and she's gone up to take that upper priority position and that up the point position, trying to find one of those ones.
So, of course, this is the last heat of the day, and I just heard Dutchie say on the beach mic it is 2 minutes to go. And here goes Jessie. So you're surfing white. And, I mean, I'm not picking up any problems with her surfing. I mean, nice and smooth off the takeoff, got the rail line going, and then just getting caught by the section again, really.
She did well. She did. Actually, the nose grabbed a little bit as she took off there on a little chop that was crossing and that didn't wash off any speed. So she's spot on. She surfs quite well, just a matter of not able to find the waves that she's after to really give her those opportunities.
So now, watching this set, this is one of the bigger waves we've seen in a while. Kira is steaming out there, but she's not going to get there. You see Gab's going under as well. And you see that bigger one kind of just running down the bank pretty quick. You would have had to get into it in the exact right place, and it would have just been one maneuver. But in the previous round with the under-16 boys, we saw a couple of those big one-maneuver turns getting really good scores. So the judges are aware of the fact that it's tricky out there. And if you're going to get a bigger wave and lay down a massive turn on a pretty tricky section, they're going to reward you. But unfortunately, the girls there just out of position. They weren't anywhere near to where they needed to be.
Yeah, spot on as we just count this heat down into its final minute. The story's all about this lady on your screen. She's dominated this one. Kira Knight, a little bit of a victory lap here. Look how smooth her surfing is. So much speed, a lovely committed smooth hook there. Flows between them. And that board, like that's the first time she looks like it hasn't been glued to her feet the whole time. So nice to see that she is actually human as well. But she has dominated this heat and been really enjoyable to watch.
And I was wondering what board it was. It's a G-Force. Geordie's dad putting that board out. I've noticed a lot of the juniors of the last few events are riding those G-Force surfboards.
Yeah, Graham Smith.
Yeah, so the G-Man will be happy. And I've got to say, she is just impressing me more and more every heat I see her surf. I mean, that last wave, that takeoff to bottom, turn to turn, was about as good as you're going to see anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. That wraps it up here for the day. We are into day 2 of the Ballito Pro presented by Billabong in the juniors. Tomorrow we will have all of our finals being run. So do make sure you check in tomorrow morning. I think we've got around a 7:30 call for potentially an 8 o'clock start.
Yeah, we're probably going to start at about closest to 8 as we can. And it is the Pro Junior Men quarterfinals up first. So it's going to be well worth getting online and coming to see the action. Of course, the mornings here are pretty much always clean. We're looking at the wind backing off right now through the evening, and hopefully we see some really good waves in the morning for the Pro Junior Man.
All right, guys, that's it from us. We're going to go jump out in the lineup and get a better understanding about it, just so we can bring you some more quality coverage over the course of the week or so. From Scotty Turnbull and Kai Linda, we'll catch you guys tomorrow.